What does our map veto look like for the series? Reminder, it is best of 3 for all the matches that we have in the group stage. 7 map pool, 4 out, 3 are left, and we got our first 2 bans in. Jesse.
Yeah, Clubhouse bans, the first one that's catching my eye from Team 1. I was kind of expecting a Kafe. I don't love they're leaving that on the board because I'm not confident Na'Vi wanted to pick Clubhouse, but it's what they go for. Coastline is the obvious choice for Na'Vi. I think that makes a ton of sense. Team 1 are really good on that map. We'll see what the picks come in for us. Again, Kafe being left alive is my big worry, but it's going to be the pick coming in first from Team 1. So we'll see what they want. I think Chalet and Oregon are the 2 options that they have for their first pick. They will go for Oregon instead. This is a map that's been very strong for them. 4-2 since the start of Stage 3, 10-4 since the start of Stage 2 for Team 1. And there is the second map picked up, Kafe from Na'Vi. It's a map that most teams ban against them. Now, Empire didn't, and they were able to beat Na'Vi in the regular season, but most teams don't take that gamble. Team 1, 3-game losing streak on Kafe. They almost never play this map. And if they'll remember, back at the Sweden Major quarterfinals, this is where they lost to Rogue and got kind of embarrassed.
Last map, there are a couple of options, I think, for both teams, but again, we're at a point now where Na'Vi already have 2 very strong maps historically for them in both Oregon and Kafe. I'd even wager from back like around Stage 1 of last year, both of those maps for them are fantastic. And now we see what our last one is, and it's Villa, which is a little bit up in the air. I think for Na'Vi, it's not very strong. They're 3-3 on it over the course of the past 10 to 11 months. If we do need a decider, though, I think this is where Team 1 definitely has a decided advantage because they're 8-3 over that exact same time frame. So those first 2 looking as though they favor Na'Vi, but if we do need 3, I'd be a little bit concerned for them, especially based on how those first 2 go to begin with. If we even need a third map right now, it looks like a case where Na'Vi has to essentially choke 1 or 2 of their very strong maps just off the rip. So this is good for Na'Vi, unless we need a third one.
What's the chance of rain for this one?
I don't even think we can predict that based on how they played yesterday. Let's be real. It's 2 teams with similar problems, though, so I'm wondering if it's not a clash of styles, so to speak. It's something where we might see them play very similarly.
Well, you've had all night and this morning to kind of prepare, look at things with your coach, see what can we change, talked a bit about that, but what can be applied here right now, like operator bans that might help you, some changes in roles, because you said Na'Vi looked a bit more lost. Is it just the opening day, or there might be something more to that?
I mean, you got to keep in mind, Na'Vi, they played 9 attacking rounds yesterday. They were able to win 0 of them.
Yeah.
So that's clearly where the issues lie. Their defenses weren't amazing, but let's start where the real problems lie, right? Let's get those attacks sharpened up. Doki had the worst opening stat of any player of the tournament. I think it was like 2-5, 2-4.
Reverse that right now.
He was struggling with that. I don't even think it was Doki's fault. Like, Doki was winning gunfights when he had like an equal opportunity to win them, but oftentimes he had no information. The drones were being fed time and time again, and we saw Nathan switch to the Clash, or not the Clash, the Monty.
Yep.
Trying to fix that, get that information, but it just really wasn't working against Oxygen, especially on Bank. That just wasn't finding any success for them. So they've got to sort their drones out, and I don't know if there's one player in particular, maybe secretly, that needs to pop off with that.
I'd say so.
Somebody's got to figure it out, though.
But if that's the same problem that Team 1 is having, it's a far more salvageable ship because it was still droning issues. It was still understanding defensive positions, especially from an attacking point of view, because we just know them as a defender proficient squad. But now we're looking at this saying, hey, all you got to do is just take a couple more seconds and clear every corner. It's not the most fun job in the world, but in a game where like Rainbow Six Siege is defined by your drone work, there were a lot of people, like I read through subreddit comments yesterday, being like, this game was won or lost because of how they droned. And I think Team 1, you can fix that a little bit more. It's just a small tweak. For Na'Vi, I'm a little bit more concerned.
Information is 2/3 of Rainbow Six. I mean, with all the utility and gadgets and everything that you have in the game, it's just, especially with Zping now, this is, it's so incredibly important for both sides of the attackers and defense. But gentlemen, thank you very much for breaking things down and kind of guiding us through what happened yesterday and what is there to prepare for today in this matchup. Team 1 goes up against Na'Vi, but you got to sit down with Team 1 and ask them a few questions, so check it out.
I'm Alemão, I play for Team 1. My role in my team is Flex and IGL with Lagones. So along the year we change a few things in our game styles. We have to change roles in general to not like the default roles that we are used to see in Tier 1. It's kind of different from other teams. I think we are superior to other teams because we discovered like a new siege like not the default one that you were used to see on, I don't know, like NA teams, for example.
Team 1 just don't know what to do right now. Neskin, you've got to cover KDS. You cannot allow him to go down. Take the bullets and you have to, but he fires them back. Team 1, match point.
On this last year, we learned so many things about Siege and FPS in general, and we became like, I don't know, more complete. You have to play all tournaments without fear. You have to have fun while you're playing, making jokes with your colleagues. Relieves, I think, a little bit of the pressure. I always like yelling to the other team and making jokes on the middle of the game. So I think it's me or Lagonis, one of our two. Our loss against MyBR after Sweden was not a surprise because they had more time to prepare. We just have like 1 week to prepare against them, and they had like 1 month. I think it's better to play with lower expectations because we have less attention on you, so you can do more things, I think. A team that we are worried about like the most is DWG. I think they are the best. I think our group is the group of death. Like, we don't have a bad team on our group. A message to my opponents, let me think. You will see a different team one this SI, so be smart.
Welcome back, friends. We just got to hear it from Alamau and how the team is prepared in his role within Team 1. But that's only one game, Team 1 versus Navi. We have a second one going live in just a few minutes on the B stream. And with me are definitely some A-tier analysts that we have on the couch. We got James, Dev Marta, I haven't seen you in ages, my friend, and everybody's growing up. I'm loving Rainbow Six. Man, we started with like 6 people at Invitational. Now we have 17. This is awesome. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. The only thing is, though, I don't grow up. We all joke about how small I am. I'm like 5'3", so I don't ever grow up. But like we
Feet
as
don't actually touch the ground.
No, that's true. Like I actually can't really sit far back because like my feet will lift up in the air.
In contrast, I have the opposite problem.
So I think we have a pretty good dynamic working in here. So g'day, as you would say, and goedendag to you.
Goedendag.
Friends all over the world. We got international crew on here at Invitational. We're going to talk about an international game. Korea going up against Brazil. Damwon Kia, the top in Korea, top in APAC for a lot of people right now, versus MIBR that barely squeezed through in the qualifiers only, 8 days ago? That is not a long time. Let's start talking about these two teams. First up, the Korean squad, Damwon Kia, who had hell of a start to their Invitational.
Absolutely. They've already taken down one Brazilian team just yesterday in Team 1. A fairly confident 2-0. Not sure if you guys can hear, but the players are making so much noise. They're getting hyped. But yeah, Damwon, look, a story for the ages. A year ago, this team qualified for APAC North. They got picked up by one of the biggest organizations in Korean Rainbow Six. Now they're the most feared team in APAC. They were 1 bullet away from being major finalists. That would be a first for APAC and a first for Korea. So just how far they have come, it's incredible.
Incredible to say the least. Look at the squad and what they had to offer. And even yesterday, given that, Yas was shut down so often during the games, they still did so incredibly well. I mean, and can anything stop them today?
I mean, we talked about this, like Woogieman is the MVP of yesterday. It was shown on R6 Esports Twitter. He had the best rating of that team, whilst you would actually expect this to come more from maybe someone like Rin or Yas, 2 players that were two of the 7 players for the Sweden major that had more than 100 kills over the entire tournament. So that's where you are maybe expecting these higher ratings to come from. But just the fact that this entire team has strong people that could step in when someone's not having their day is a really good fundamental to start off from.
Despite what happened in November Major in Sweden last time, Yas and Alama were still the top 2 rated. Perfectly tied together in their numbers. Incredible to see. But on the other side, we have a Brazilian team in MIBR, and they struggled to get through. There's a lot of Brazilian teams that are vying for spots at Invitational, and they squeezed through in a BO5 against Black Dragons last week. How do they fare today?
I mean, they had good practice 8 days ago, really, is what the team said as well. I mean, there's teams here that haven't played in 2 months, and MIBR having played 8 days ago. Well, they said it's good practice for them, and while they had an easier time against the easier opponents, I'd say those finals of the SI qualifiers were pretty tight still though. And yeah, I mean, it's the only LATAM team that's not been on any of the majors last year. If we don't count SI, for example, they did participate in SI 2021, but no other majors apart from that. So they're kind of on the down foot from them if you look at this team in comparison to the entire LATAM region.
Had a bit of a rough time last year, didn't they, after that great start at Invitational, James?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. The lowest rated LATAM team, world rank number 28. They're hungry for redemption because while they started 2021 so very strongly, second place in Brazil, the strongest region, and then SI, third place in the world. Incredible, honestly. But of course, after that, we unfortunately had Felipox with a shoulder injury. They subbed in Bodega to try and play. That didn't work out. Felipox even tried to play a couple games with controller. That ended up about as well as you would expect against PC players of this caliber. And as a result, like you said, no major appearances for MIBR, not in August, not in November. And as a result, we actually don't have a lot of international results for them.
Yeah, and it was not only Felipox with the shoulder injury, they had Falls with a surgery as well. And meanwhile, this was one where the team was able to plan around that a little bit. It still doesn't really help to have such a roller coaster year. However, a positive thing for MIBR is they said having such a roller coaster year does bring them closer together as a squad and does really help with the mental.
That is a very good point here. Having everybody kind of shouldering the work together and making sure that they're supporting one another, that really does help and makes you think, you know what, we are a unit, we win or lose together, and sometimes you have to take a few L's before you take a few W's.
Yep.
So there's something for you to start off your day with. Put it on a coffee mug or whatever people are doing nowadays. Live, love, laugh all over your wall. That's what we got. Though, here are our map bans. There are 7 maps in total in our pool. 4 will be removed, starting off with 2 bans immediately for DK and MIBR. James, carry us through it, please.
So firstly, right out of the gate, absolutely no surprise to see Kafe banned out by Dom1. Believe it or not, between Kafe and Bank, they have banned those 2 maps more than all the other maps in the pool combined, so very predictable from Dom1, fair enough. For MIBR, really credit I want to give to them for that Villa ban. It's a very, very strong map for Dom1, and that will lock that out. Of course, we can see following that, Dom1 are actually going to pick Chalet. If I can keep going for this one, that's such a good map for both teams. Like, this is really exciting. We can already see, just with the picks, this is going to be a heckin' good series.
Yeah, I mean, Chalet is a good map for both teams, and while we argue that Chalet is one of the more attacker-favorite maps, it's actually quite interesting how both teams have a really good defensive win rate on that map. MIBR wins 72% of their rounds, and Dem1 Kia wins 68% of the rounds on defense on Chalet. So that is interesting, but we also have Coastline coming in after. It's MIBR's pick. That is a good map for both, but it seems to be a better map for MIBR.
Yeah, the thing is with Coastline, MIBR are good domestically, but they're unproven internationally. I think that the idea here with Coastline from MIBR is they're looking at Dam1 Kia losing 7-2 to Team 1 in the November Major. That was the worst result that the Koreans had during that entire event. So MIBR is clearly targeting that weakness and hoping that they can get an in.
DK's happiness when they're just sitting together, chatting and laughing, it's something that breathes, you know, fresh energy into this, because everybody's always super serious, because it is serious. It's the Invitational, but there's just the vibe that they give off is just so addictive. It really reminds everybody of the olden Norengo days with how things were. That vibe is something else. The final thoughts, our lobby's ready, and please go.
I mean, we know MIBR is an aggressive team. Both teams actually picked attack at all the options they could, so that shows that both teams are willing to put that aggression in. I'm really looking forward to it, so it's going to be an exciting game.
I will say MIBR probably predicted this entire map video, which is a great sign for them. They'll come in with a lot of preparation, but Dam1, they are really good on all of these maps. If we go to that decider of Oregon, that is the exact place where Dam1 Kia were one bullet away from making a major final, and I have no doubt that they will push hard to win this map.
Another Brazilian team that Dam1 Kia goes up against, only one of them has been able to defeat them in their history in the past few months. So how does it go? It's all up to our casters. Take us through it. Let's get into game 2 matches about to begin. Team 1 versus Navi, Dam1 Kia versus MIBR. Thank you very much, James. And on to our casters. Enjoy.
All right, well, it's the time of the day where we get to start off our second day of the Six Invitational. I'm Intero. I'm joined by Pengu, and we have a very intriguing first match. Nick, it's Team One versus Na'Vi. Neither team had a very good day yesterday. So what do you think in the last 24 hours they've worked on to prepare themselves for this match?
I mean, first you gotta look at what happened last night. It is day 2, so day 1 what happened was that Team 1, they played against Damwon Kia. You know, they're quite fierce. They lost 4-7 on Chalet, 2-7 on Villa. On the side of Na'Vi, they got absolutely hammered by the side of OXG. They lost 2-7 on Bank and 1-7 on Coastline. So, if you're Na'Vi, I think you're just gonna go back and say, guys, we had a terrible first game. We can play so much better. Don't even worry about it. And what they did, they played Bank and Coastline. Well, today, we're seeing Oregon, Kafe, and Villa. So Na'Vi, they do not want to go back to these roots and this terrible map they had in the past, where it's a little bit different for Team 1, because we do have Villa in here, so they obviously are comfortable going back to where they lost. Either way, you gotta prep, you gotta go through the vault and say, guys, what were the mistakes, fix them up, and do not repeat them this time around.
Well, now we see the very first bans coming out on our screen. For you, you've got the map flight in front of you. I am intrigued by that social vote.
70-30?
That is, you're buying real high on Na'Vi as the underdogs, but okay.
Then Dogi says I'm shaking my boots.
Well, they banned Twitch right off the hop. For Na'Vi to get rid of Twitch, that is a targeted ban against Team 1, evidently. We'll see what the final 2 rounds of bans coming in are. For an Oregon ban, you want to see Thatcher and Mira, likely a Wamai, could be a Kaid, could be a Valkyrie in regards to our very final one coming in.
And the Kaid here makes sense because you got Thatcher and Mira, and the Twitch and the Thatcher ban, but no, it will be the Wamai. So Kaid is left open. This makes the basement bomb set extremely strong, but then you can kind of argue that with Wamai being gone, it makes basement still strong, but a little bit less strong, so it's a pretty good bomb site still. But yeah, Wamai is of course played often with the Jaeger. You can bunker up on shields. That won't work as good this time around.
In regards to individual performances, nobody on Na'Vi had a particularly good day yesterday.
No.
Blur and Doki were the 2 best players on the team in terms of what they brought in killing potential, but outside of that, the strategic depth of Na'Vi was quite poor. For Team 1, it was the Ali Mao show. As we have seen before, that team has a ton of depth as well. For their run through Mexico, when Team 1 prevailed and were the first Brazilian team to win a major international event, not the first international event, that would be Team Liquid, doing it all the way back in Season 7 in Atlantic City, defeating your team, Nick. But
nightmares.
As for Team 1, there was a ton of depth on that team. You had good games from Lagonas. Neskin was incredible. Levy, I believe, was the MVP of that very final matchup.
Yes.
Every single player showed up. Yesterday it was just Ali Mao, and they kind of lost the plot through the course of that matchup, and even Ali Mao started to fall off on Villa. So both these teams come in probably rejuvenated. I don't know which one will have the upper hand, but for Na'Vi, it's a very low bar to clear. So low that Doki couldn't even walk under it.
Let's not make fun of Doki just yet. He said in the in-game chat, he's shaking his boots. We need to motivate him, if anything. Every single player from Na'Vi last night in their previous matchup against OXG were negative on the scoreboard. So obviously they didn't have a lot of things going on for them. They want to now rectify that and show that they can shoot back, because if anything, Na'Vi is quite an aggressive team. They got quite capable players. They just didn't show that as of yesterday. And now in Oregon, it is a map where you gotta get active. You can't just sit in corners. We saw Sonics do that. What happened? Empire just made a massive comeback. So you gotta get active and you gotta get out on the map and challenge your opponent. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time.
That's exactly correct. We're gonna see Ali Mao be the first one downed. Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm not really sure what that initial altercation was on this downstairs take from Team 1, but losing your Flores when you have to use those Rotero drones. We saw this yesterday, you and I, in the Sonics and Empire matchup, how critical a Rotero drone is when you're taking bunker and blue side of this supply room bomb site. So you've lost that, and most importantly, you've lost your team captain, you've lost the player who statistically kept your team in more rounds than you probably deserve to be in. So that's something that Team 1 are going to have to deal with for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, but if you're not on this side, you got Doki running around the map right now. I spoke about earlier how you gotta get out, get active, and really contest your opponent. That's exactly what Na'Vi is doing. They're playing on every single staircase, secretly on the big tower. You had a player on the freezer stairs. Doki was in meeting, got the opening kill. This is looking really good. Now Na'Vi, they've burned half the round already, and no one from Team 1 is actually really inside the building right now. They're all just sitting ducks, waiting for something.
I'm not exactly sure what their focus is at the moment, but they're doing their best upstairs on this top floor. Maybe try to get rid of the roamers. You can see that with there being an Oryx in play, that'll be Blur. They are not holding just the basement bomb site. In fact, you saw the Oryx playing over inside of Small Tower. He's currently hidden, playing behind the sandbags by stage, and Levy almost ends up seeing him, but then gets away quite safely, waiting for that Oryx to strike.
Yeah, and this is often what happens when you don't have enough manpower. But look at this, Blur. He buys the time. He just sits there.
So patient, and they're going to go on the Gemini and immediately drop. He could get 2 kills for the price of 1 right now. 3! All he needs to do is pop up. He knows they're there. They're juggling the diffuser. 4 people inside a lobby. Will Blur pop up and catch them? How long is he going to wait for? Will they find him or not? He might have missed his golden opportunity. Levy's still there with KDS now, and that is not an actual Gemini. He pops up, and he gets both with the grenade dropped, but no, he manages to avoid it. A huge play with Doki picking up kill number 2, leaving Lagos to die, and they will start off flawlessly on the side of Na'Vi.
Oh my, I honestly, Blur, the biggest set of balls on this man. I was thinking 1 player, 2 player, 3. There was 4 players at one given moment right next to him. He didn't even flinch, and you said the golden opportunity might actually have slipped away, but he still managed to find 2 kills, and honestly, that's amazing. Bit worried about that grenade at his feet, but he Oryx dashed away, got back down into safety. Flawless round for Na'Vi to open it up, and that early aggression, and again, making it difficult for your opponent, that just shined through so true this round, and that's exactly what Na'Vi will continue to need to do to keep that up. I mean, Doki got 3 kills as well.
Yes,
so he said he was shaking his boots, but not really, right?
Doki got 1st kill, 4th kill, and 5th kill to Blur's 2 in the middle. And like we said, those were very crucial kills, with Blur at one point having 4 kills available to him. But instead, well, he waits very patiently. So a tremendous first round from Na'Vi, and honestly, a bit of a blunder from Team 1 to not properly drone out exactly what's going on inside a meeting. If you're going to take that E-box hatch and you're going to drop down, and the entire focus of your push is to send 1 or 2 players down freezer, control pillar in the back of the bomb site, and then drop box, you kind of got to make sure that meeting is clear. That was something that Team 1 did not do. And in terms of the level of sophistication, even the most amateur teams can't be making mistakes like that, let alone a team that is a defending major champion for Mexico and is looking to try to make a deep run here for the Six Invitational.
Certainly, and even more so after that game of yesterday, the first game of Invitationals. If you start on loss, you really want to go swinging in that second game day. You don't want to get a loss back-to-back. That's going to set you up for a very difficult time of success going forward, but also just you want to live up to expectations. Team 1, I mean, not a single team here is bad by any means. Every team here is absolutely amazing. But Team 1, former major winner, they've done it before and they want to show they can do it again. Na'Vi, if anything, they're just here to show that 1, they're a good team as well, but 2, that Europe as a region can still play at the highest level, because let's be honest, it's kind of been like the LATAM and in a way the APAC show the last 6 months.
Yes, it absolutely has. So that's only 1 round. There's a lot more to play. This is Team 1's map, and all of the maps, we'd like to remind you, tend to skew towards the defenders. So if attackers are capable of getting more than 2 rounds, that is a major boon for them. In this case, round number 2 begins significantly better, with Nath getting taken down, or Nath. I think there was actually some debate yesterday as to how we pronounce his name.
The nade.
But another nade gets tossed in, and KDS collects his 2nd kill on to saves. That's the Polish player of Na'Vi no more.
Yep, we had a discussion with the whole thing where that's the smoke off the board as well, by the way, on save. So basically now the toxic bibs are gone. Levi finds another. He's just doing it all by himself. He doesn't even need a team right now.
Oh no, these nades are hitting their mark. Are we about to see back-to-back flawless rounds? No, Blur says not this time. It was so crucial in the previous round on that Oryx. He's going to allow that diffuser to get planted. Lagonis at the halfway point. Tracer's over his shoulder as Blur looks towards the top of White Stairs. Pings inside of Attic. He's trapped in this spot with only 16 bullets. If they collapse on him, there's absolutely no way he's going to be able to live for that much longer. 2 kills from KDS, 1 from Neskin, and 2 from Levi. That's the round, and again, almost a flawless. Both of these rounds, so fascinating how it can be Na'Vi dominating, and then they immediately crumble. And it's Team 1 to dominate round 2.
Yeah, right now it's all about the picks, especially the early pick, the first initial one. And whoever gets it seems to have quite a big advantage. And Oregon is kind of about that where the more guns you have alive, the better off you are, because there are very few entry points for the opposing team on the attacking side. Team 1 not being super active on the map. They had the same similar playstyle the first round and the second, where they were kind of sitting outside and waiting around. The difference is that on the second round, they found the picks, and on the first round, they crumbled and they didn't really get a whole lot of map control. So I do imagine for Na'Vi that the basement bomb site and maybe even the tertiary bomb site might just favor them as opposed to going kid storms. That doesn't allow for as much mobility as the other bomb sites. But we'll see how it plays out. For now, we have a little bit of a pause. I believe that's a technical timeout or a technical pause. So not a tactical, but technical. Just gonna see what's going on, if it's a mouse problem, a keyboard problem, a sound problem. But actually, we might just be on the way in just a moment.
Yeah, that was a quick one. I don't know exactly what the issue was, but we'll get right back into the matchup. Na'Vi have a chance to go back upstairs if they want it. That Dorm's bomb site will remain open. The only one that is locked is Laundry Supply Room. It'll open up next round. And with how triumphant a defense we saw, a lot of it hinging on off-site play that went unseen by Team 1. A mistake that I don't think Team 1 is going to commit again. Well, Na'Vi are probably going to want to go back downstairs as quickly as they can. But they had a chance to go to dorms a second time. And when we see a team get shellacked the way that we just saw from Na'Vi, it's actually quite easy for a team to go back there and say, well, we can't have as poor of a performance on this bomb site. Yeah, you know what? If you're playing a third bomb site or even like a pocket pick, that doesn't usually have the best defense rate. For example, let's say bar stock on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
You might not want to go back there immediately. You might want to go to a safer bomb site. But here on Oregon, dorms upstairs tends to be one of the safest, if not the safest bomb site for defenders. So I am a little intrigued as to why Na'Vi have decided, let's go to meeting and kitchen.
I do think Na'Vi just wants like the mobility and the freedom of the bomb site, which kid storms, usually you play like 4 guys on side. You could do a big tower extension, but not a whole lot of teams do it, and not a whole lot of teams find that good success on it. So going tertiary, going to that meeting kitchen or kitchen dining bomb site just allows you to extend up above and out on the map. And I mean, it worked the first round, so statistically Navi's like, well, let's make it work again on the second bomb site. So I think that's the thought process behind it. We did see the 6-pick coming out from Nav from the Kaid onto the Echo. So kind of trying to trick around the whole, do we have information, do we not have information? IQ is not an operator that almost any team has picked. In fact, I haven't seen it being picked yet at this Six Invitational. So whenever you're bringing out information, such as the Echo, it can be tricky for the opposing team to figure out where exactly are these yokai drones.
Well, if you had such a problem with meeting for Team 1, you're going to have to be a little bit more sharp with this bomb site, because now that's actually part of the map that you need to get that diffuser planted, and the default plant spot for most teams tends to be where Blur was sitting if you don't want to go for a plant inside of kitchen. Given the stack up that we see from Team 1 on the back of the map over by Large Tower, that'll be T1, T2, and T3, it almost looks certain that meeting will be the big focus. It's very easy to train your sights in that direction and completely exclude kitchen. If you look at the top-down view, the B bomb site kitchen is completely empty. The only player nearby is Nath, who's sitting inside of security on that yokai drone, as you said. And if you haven't played in a while, need we remind you that the yokai drones no longer cloak. So Echo is far more vulnerable, and his gadgets are far easier to spot than they were before. This means that Echo often needs to be more active as an operator, and his gadgets need to be better placed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Nav is actively using the drone because otherwise it will just die out, and that's very well done for him. But it also means Na'Vi, they only have 4 guns active on the map, whereas Team 1, they have 5 active guns and a grenade from down below. That's secretly off the board, a huge pick as he was guarding the breach from inside of meeting.
And that's the very first pick for Team 1 again. 2 rounds in a row where they're able to open things up, and they're going to continue to snowball this. It seems like that first round for Na'Vi was a bit of an anomaly, as Team 1's guns far sharper on round 2, and now looking to do the same on the 3rd round. KDS waiting patiently down below. He's got a Gemini that can go through and give intel with just 40 seconds left. This is going to be a tough go of it. A cheeky little angle from the Echo inside of security. That's a long-range kill potential for Na'Vi. They're going to wait, even if they're down in numbers, for the Team 1 execute to come out. KDS roam clearing down below. If he gets the attention of a single player of Na'Vi, that means that there's 2 on site to worry about. And Doki will quarterback the defense, playing over by Split and Flag. Defense now have to struggle as halfway for Lagonis on that diffuser, but the Yokai will knock him off. His head is seen for but a second, and Nath will get yet another, waiting on the time. Lagonis finished off by Doki, but here's KDS on the flank. Doki says no thank you. Deftly avoids the grenade as Levy gets that diffuser down. But no! The Yokai drone goes the wrong way! He gets it at the last second. Incredible stuff by a hair. Na'Vi wins the round at the final moment because of the Yokai.
Imagine you're a Nav on the Yokai, you're droning, the timer is 0, you're gonna jump to the ceiling, shoot the planter, we win on time, but then the drone falls down the hatch that KDS so naded earlier, taken down secretly, and for a moment, I believe both us and Nav thought, oh no, is that going to be the round? It was about 1.6 or so seconds left, so quite close indeed, but not close enough if you're Team 1. Na'Vi got the round, now 2-1 up, and what looked to be a terrible beginning for them off that round, losing 2 opening picks, making that a 3 versus 5. Doki and Nave, in comparison, together, they managed to really bring it back. You stalled with the Yokai, Doki found some picks, then the flank came through from KDS, Doki got the trade 1-for-1, making that an even numbered 3 versus 2, plus the Yokai drone. So honestly, not bad at all from Na'Vi.
That was a round that Na'Vi was losing until they weren't as well. Team 1 got those first 2 picks. They push in, they clear out. KDS is on the flank. He trades himself off 1-for-1. Even at that point, if you get a single kill on flank and then you immediately die, it still is the attention of one of the 2 remaining players from Na'Vi. That leaves Nath as the only player left upright because Doki is playing inside a split. He gets the kill onto KDS. He can't pivot in time. He's zoned out by the grenade in front of him with the Rotero drone that's blocked out by the mute jammer. So what does he have to do? He has to bide time and possibly swing one of those 2 split doors, looking all the way to the stage. There's 2 sets of eyes from Team 1 that are trying to guard the diffuser being planted, and Levi just gets knocked out of it at the last second because while Team 1 are so focused on Doki and where that potential mystery 5th operator is, which they know is an Echo at this point, they don't know where that second Yokai drone is. So kudos to Na'Vi for playing in the post plant. It's not uncommon to see teams seed the bomb site and then play for the retake, and even though they didn't physically retake it, the drone did, and that was enough to give them the round.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you lose a round to that, it's absolutely, it sucks. But when you win a round with it, you're kind of laughing because honestly, you didn't do much, but it's honest work, right? Nave didn't really move a single muscle that round. He started the round inside of servers and he won the round inside of servers on his Yokai drone as well. Team 1, I think, only assumed there was 1 Yokai drone in range because when Lagonis got hit the first time, he just said, you know what, I can tank the second hit, then the 3rd time the plant will actually come down. But then when Nave rotated the second Yokai drone over, you get 2 extra shots, and that's kind of where the surprise factor came through, and we all saw what happened. This time around though, Nave stuck his guts on the Kaid, and he will do a good job tricking the first hatch here inside of lobby. That should signify to Team 1 that yes, 1, the Kaid is on the board, he's being active, but also he has priority on lobby in particular. Nave is probably going to try and chase Hibana and try and figure out the mind games of like, oh, which hatch is he breaking right now? They gotta open the freezer hatch, and then we'll see what they do next.
Well, it's been 90 seconds into round number 4, and this is amazingly the slowest of all of the rounds up to this point. A bit puzzling, actually, that Team 1 haven't been as quick to the punch as they want to be. KDS looked to soldier down and run as quickly as he could on those freezer stairs. Instead, he comes right back. They've droned out meeting this time, by the way. You're not going to have Blur waiting in the shadows at all. Instead, you've got a much better focus on map control. And I guess I said again, I doubt a team of their caliber repeats that same mistake. So Team 1 shoring up some of the weaknesses. It also means that Na'Vi are going to play a little differently. They know they can't get away with that cheeky strategy. Nath is no longer on the Oryx to hold map control and move around quickly. Instead, you're going with the utility denial in the oNe. And additionally, having access to the DMR or the oNe means that you're a proficient killing machine. In this case, it'll be the oNe in the hands of Blur.
Yeah, I really like what you said earlier about how we don't expect these teams to make the mistake twice because everybody makes mistakes. That is a given. But it really comes down to, are you going to be repeating mistakes or are you just, given that one free chance and then that's fine. It happens. So, starting to see tight gameplay this round. KDS might opening up with this nade.
And there's a nade for Pillar ready to fall off, but Saves is on the other side of it. He's waiting very patiently. He's got focus on blue. Some bullets will give his position away, and the call will also be made from the top of the stairs as KDS walks right down into Doki. It's a joint effort. Saves is the next one up. He grabs the diffuser and pivots away. Doki 2 kills. Ali Mao's in the middle of the bomb site looking towards blue. This is a blind spot right now, and Saves will have to worry as it's just Lagonis now in a 1v1. What a massive round from Saves, and he quite literally lives up to his namesake as he saves the round for Na'Vi.
Very well done by Saves, playing in that pillar and electric position, making great use of 3 different angles and picking up multiple kills as well. Carl Alemo really had Carl had a great entry into sight. I thought it was over, but he got both the player inside of stock and the guy inside of elbow with a nice flick. It wasn't enough. Timer actually hit 0, and on the dot, Lagoni started planting. I think Saves was under the impression that, oh, I'm just gonna run away, hide in this corner, but then the very last moment, they stuck the plant. But you have 7 seconds to get it down, and 7 seconds was plenty enough time for Saves to run around the map, or around the bomb site rather, and pick up the poor Lagonis, who didn't know any better because he was too busy planting diffuser, which he had to do. He could not get off it, because if you do that on the 0th second, well, you lose the round regardless.
Well, back upstairs to dorms they will go. So far, Na'Vi favoring this 3-site rotation. We saw a couple defenses of that joint kitchen mess hall bomb site yesterday. Probably we'll see it again today at some point. Again, kitchen is a part of 2 separate bomb sites. You've got the one meeting extension, then you've got mess hall on the other side of it, which is also known as cafeteria. All the teams will have their own regional callouts for it. But kitchen is the main uniting factor between the 2 of them. Teams like to defend meeting, regardless of whether it's mess hall where the bomb site is or inside a meeting. Teams will often extend in this direction. Upstairs to dorms, though, this is where Na'Vi is going to go for this particular round. They did not have a very good effort back in round number 2. It is the only defense of this bomb site that Na'Vi has attempted. It's also their only loss so far on defense, and it was a pretty pitiful attempt. They lost control early on. Team 1 got the first pick, carried it through, and by the 90-second mark, 2 players of Na'Vi were down, including the smoke, one of the most crucial operators to deny areas, not just for where the push is going to come from, but to also deny a potential plant going down over by Games or the doorway from Trophy leading into bunks. So keep an eye on how Saves plays in particular, because if he can stay safe, pardon the pun, then Na'Vi's chances will rise quite quickly.
Yeah, Na'Vi actually bringing some tricks of their own right now. Blur on the Frost. We saw the Frostman inside our master bedroom, the attic drop, and then big window as well. And then we see Nave now bringing information. So Nave really showing the flexibility. He played Monty in their game yesterday against OXG. He played Kaid, he played Echo, now he's playing the Valkyrie. Also, really heavily playing out that information game. Na'Vi as a team as well. They got the evil or the black eye cameras. They got bulletproofs, 2 of them, one on Jaeger, one on Frost. So Na'Vi really wants this information to make their decisions and not go blind against Team 1. And honestly, I like that. We haven't seen that much info play so far. Valkyrie is typically banned almost every single game at this event. It's quite nice to see it open.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because teams don't really get a good look at your opponent's Valkyrie cams because she is so seldom used. And more importantly than that, the Six Invitational tends to bring the greatest set of eyes to this game. And the casual players who watch pro play, they learn an awful lot from where these black eye cams can go. I'm sorry, but let me interrupt myself for just a second here. Lagonis was getting the diffuser down. He's at half of his HP, and now he's almost halfway down, but he gets stopped at the last second by Blur. That was a very brazen attempt for Team 1 to get some objective play going. The diffuser, though, is now hopelessly surrendered by Big Window and by the bunks, and there are plenty of toxic canisters to wait out the remainder of the minute. But as I say that, a second one goes off. KDS walks right in, top of white stairs. That's the freest kill of his life to gun down Saves. The smoke is gone. No more toxic beauties. No more coverage. And a nitro cell was used earlier to try and deny the plant. KDS still walking in. That's his second kill. Neskin at the window. go as Nath is down below. He'll catch the Yana. That's the real deal, not a clone, not the Gemini. So back up the stairs he'll go. Control on White. He's got a nice cross with Blur. Ali Mao has been down in a frost mat. 30 seconds left. How do you expect that in there? And a slow walk from Neskin. I try and out-duel the Frost. That's an easy one for him, but it's now a 1v2 as Ali Mao is still downed. Levi was not in the cut and thrust. He was not a part of the objective play. They'll look to maybe secure Ali Mao or just play keep away. And what a beautiful shot from Doki to clean things up on that final round. Na'Vi on defense, on Oregon. They've taken 4 rounds. They've won the half, and they fixed the mistakes that we saw them commit on Dorms just a couple rounds ago.
That they did indeed, and that was a dirty trick. The Frost pick from Blur really shined this round. Lagonis and the team of Team 1, they wanted to go in for a quick plant. They thought they could get cheeky, but they got shut down quite quickly. Well done for Na'Vi. Neskin and KDS hand in hand together from that white stairs and Big Winner jumping. They found the opening and they found the kills, but then they stalled out. Levi was on that Kid Storm's Repel, couldn't do a whole lot of things, had to get off it, run all the way around the building, and while that happened, it was Alemo who unfortunately stepped into a frost trap inside the master bedroom closet, and that is kind of that. That leaves you halfway across the map, one person's injured, Levi is lost outside the building, and you can't do a whole lot with that. Na'Vi, they played tight together, with the exception of Saves kind of sprinting away, getting shot in his back, unfortunately.
This is the second or third round that I've watched from Team 1 where they seem to have all of their players with very distinct spots on the map. And if something goes wrong, if somebody throws a spanner in the plan, that you end up with the players looking like they're so far out of position. Look at Levi on the previous round. His job was to be down below, have nades, open up the wall, and then sit down and wait to maybe get somebody on flank, knowing that Na'Vi really likes their flanks. And Na'Vi have tried to flank on a number of these rounds and keep a mystery operator off of, I would say, the bomb site and off of objective play. But Team 1 losing somebody early, or Team 1 having issues with, Lagonis gets into the site, dies early. Ali Mao is in the site. He's doing a wonderful job trying to create space, picks up 2 kills inside a laundry supplier, and then gets gunned down. But it's not ultimately as effective to the overall strategy. And there are certain rounds where Team 1 just looks like a team of individuals rather than a group playing together. I'm sure that's a deliberate strategy, but Na'Vi are feasting off of that, winning these gunfights when Team 1 players are isolated, and ultimately the Brazilian team is languishing because of that.
Oh, yeah, we saw in the interview before the game, although here we might see some death coming out. It's Neskin taken down by Secretly, but he was not alone. It was Doki there as well. Na'Vi making sure the 2v1 gets utilized. They don't want to be alone, and that is great for them. In the interview before the game, we heard Elemo talk about how they've kind of changed their roles around. They want to be different, not default. Okay. They don't want to be default, and I think what kind of that speaks to that is that Alemo used to play Bok a lot. It was like the Alemo show, he'd walk around, he would be fancy, getting kills, getting highlight clips all the time. But Team 1 as a team, they didn't really shine a whole lot. Now we're seeing Alemo just on the floor so far. That kind of speaks more of like a team cohesion. Now Alemo is forced to be with his team because his gadget is dependent on it, and he has to clear utility before he can go crazy. Right now, they haven't really found success with it just yet, but I do think that consistently across the board, it should be a better approach for them.
This is a very similar setup to what we saw from Na'Vi last time when they got picked off one by one and then got saved by the Yokai drone. Nath is still on that same operator, so I'm sure Team 1 will be looking for the drones a little bit more effectively. We're just past the halfway mark of the round, and they've managed to open up on Team 1's side of things. Stage wall. And we'll now send in a potential Flores drone. They're going to have to break both of those laser gates that are stopping easy entry. The right side panel is down and Secretly gets shoved out of his spot. He's playing with an SMG at close range, but he can also do the same with a shotgun. Looking for his legs is Levi, but Doki, where are you? Are you on the flank? Where does Ali Mao get picked down from? Doki playing over by Split. This is the pivotal spot that he was in before. KDS was the one that was shoved up from laundry stairs to try and take him down, but it looks like the 3 remaining members of Team 1, in large part because they lost Neskin early, have to stack up on the back of the stage. They'll juggle the diffuser around, 35 seconds, and a 5-1 scoreline for Na'Vi would be a hell of a first half. But they've got some work to be done. They hold a major advantage. Lagonis is the one flanking, but there's a door to stop him. He'll be heard over by security, assuming that the Echo is still there. Saves from above, and he's got a beautiful angle. Nath takes down Lagonis, so the Thermite's not going to be able to do too much, but Saves missing out on that opportunity. Levi walked in. It's a bait, as all the eyes from Na'Vi are trained in the same direction. Wow. And how about a flawless end to the first half? Na'Vi started it off flawlessly. They ended end it flawlessly, and a 5-1 scoreline for the European squad is about as dominant as you can get.
That's quite nice from Na'Vi. I think it's time for Team 1 to consider a timeout, maybe a little bit of a pause here, and talk about how they're going to bring it back on the side swap. But talking about that last round we just saw first, Doki, you might say, oh, he's just swinging people, like he's doing crazy things, but if you paid attention, Doki actually has a bulletproof inside of meeting that watches the breach, and he's playing proactively off that and split. And the reason why split is such a good position to be in is because you got a door on the left and you got a door on the right. So you can be like, oh, I'm gonna swing left, oh, now I'm gonna swing right, I'm gonna do a double right, it doesn't matter. And the enemy won't know any better. And both times that they defended meeting, Doki has found so much success on this particular position. It's really carrying Na'Vi on this bomb side.
Doki was somebody that they rely upon to do very well. Yesterday, the talk was of Blur and Doki underperforming what you expect of them. And they had a pitiful performance against Oxygen yesterday.
Rough.
There's really no sugarcoating how poor Na'Vi looked in their match yesterday. But against Team 1, Team 1 and Oxygen are both very good teams. But if you're going to give a nod to which team is better, I mean, you're crazy to not go with Team 1. They come in globally as the first-ranked team, the best-ranked team in all of Rainbow Six Siege. They just won a major 7 months ago in Mexico. So you look at it and you think, okay, well, if you struggled that hard against Oxygen, does their playstyle match up better against OXG or Team 1? And irrespective of how your playstyle matches up, which team is going to be stronger on the server, in the battlefield? And right now, Na'Vi seemingly have shaken off whatever issues they had yesterday, and they have found magic. I would like to remind you that this is Team 1's map, and they are currently getting stomped 5-1 by Na'Vi, but that was just the first half. As you said, there's still potential for them to call a timeout on Team 1's side, and the first bit of action is Lagonis almost losing his life to Doki.
Doki is absolutely sharp. I mean, we have the silhouettes on our casting screen, but I don't know how Doki managed to see the leg of Lagonis there. Now, keep in mind, Lagonis playing mute inside of servers with jammers, so that makes this like a fortress that is hard to penetrate or breach. Secretly has, of course, brought out the Maverick, which means they will need to make their way inside of Kitchen to try and open up some line of sight to clear this player. Lagonis playing a crucial position, but taking that much damage early on from Doki might play a pivotal point in this round. Blur, of course, can go up above and sledge the floor as well. That also does the trick, but the most important part is that they clear out this player first. That has to be the highest factor here. Sledgehammer goes through, C4 gets tossed out, doesn't hit a single thing. He drops to the basement, and now they have control.
Well, Lagonis might as well try to fight for as much as he can with how little HP he has. You don't want to die with that Nitro Cell in pocket, so I don't doubt that Lagonis was hoping for a kill or two, and it's not bad to potentially blow your C4 a bit early. Na'Vi have now used half of the round as we've got 90 seconds left. They've cleared that top floor and are continuing to invest in the roam clear. The question is somebody from Team 1 holding any map control that isn't on the bottom floor? An answer? No. There you go. On your screen, every single player from Team 1 either nestled into the bomb site or close enough where they can get in with a second or two to one of the bomb chassis. This means that Na'Vi have the map control if they want. They'll have to clear out blue. And Na'Vi need to figure out where they want their attack to be, by the way. They are spread out all over the map. You've got 60 seconds to get your troops together and march into the bomb site.
One of the big problems that Na'Vi might run into right now is that they don't really have anything to break out this bomb site. They have no smoke grenades because Naf and Firma's playing flashbangs. They don't have, for example, Ying or Capital, so it has to be brute forced. It does look like a backside push with big tower stairs, meeting catch control, etc. But we all know from yesterday's games, you cannot just go from one direction. You see here, Blur, Freezer, then you have the floors on the main stairs of Armory side, then you have two guys backside. This is really good from Na'Vi, but the kills have to come out in their favor for this to work.
A split push is going to be greeted by toxic canisters as well. KDS first to fall, as there's a nade from Na'Vi that goes in, takes out Levi. Nave takes out Neskin, Lagonis gone, and it's all Ali Mao. They stack up. How about another flawless round? 3 flawless rounds from Na'Vi as they now sit on map point with 3 rounds, not resulting in a single death for their squad.
Well, I did say they need to find the kills for this to work, but they found every single one and didn't lose a single soldier in that process. That is extremely beautifully done. And most importantly, importantly, they had pressure from every single area at once. That is exactly how you want to be attacking Oregon basement, especially if you don't have something to break down the side with, which they did not. So Na'Vi doing a great job at reading the round, reading the game, and understanding what they need to be doing to have a chance to actually win it. Doki on the entry, Blur with 7 kills as well. They did a really good job in that early round of clearing out Lagonis inside of server. And if you guys remember, Blur only made a single sledge hole before Lagonis chose to drop down into the basement hatchback to the side. And the reasoning for that is because Blur chose to hammer the floor in the exact correct position. Oftentimes, if you have the situation with a player inside of a room, you should be sledging the runaway point, because that means if he didn't run away, he's going to be stuck inside that room. Oftentimes, you see people on the sledge, they will just start hammering the floor randomly, trying to look for the opponent, but that shouldn't be the goal. If you box him in, you got him. So that should be your choice. That should be what you want to do. That's exactly what Blur did. Well done for him. And of course, we also saw that Lagonis had no choice but to drop instantaneously because of that.
Now, while we are hurtling at a very fast speed to the ending of this particular map, there is still at least one more to go. Na'Vi will then play on Kafe next, no matter what happens here. Even if Team 1 mount one of the most impressive comebacks that we've seen at this event, albeit only on the second day, so I have to say things like that. I just want to let you know that when we have to couch our praise and criticism in absolute terms like that. Either way, we are going to Kafe next. This is Na'Vi's map. The tiebreaker, for those of you that have not been paying attention, is Villa. At the present moment, it certainly doesn't seem like we're going to need that third map, but we don't need to get ahead of ourselves.
No.
I say all this because if this matchup ends up going very quickly and we have a break between now and map number 2, I need to remind you that there is another stream that is going on over at twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo. So head on over there. Damwon Kia is playing up against MIBR. I'm not going to spoil the results because actually I don't know what the results of the game are right now. It could be over. It could still be going. Completely unsure. But if you want to go over to that channel, you're welcome to do that. For the crowd that is watching this back, know that there are VODs from both of the streams that will be uploaded at some point later today.
Certainly. I mean, we were in the beach stream yesterday, Parker. We had a great time, had some phenomenal games, and I have no doubt that that will continue on throughout today and the rest of this tournament.
Wait a minute. Team 1 just made a call based on intel that they had, and they all just head much deeper into the bomb site. They were playing over by Freezer, they were playing over by the hallway, and they've now shoved themselves over towards blue. While doing that, they've lost KDS, who's been the top performer for his team. The rest of the squad combined only amounts to 9 kills over the 7 rounds that they've played. That is not particularly good. So in terms of fragging potential, you're not just down a player, but you're down the best player on your team. It's just an Aruni, so I mean, your gates are still up, you're going to persist, but that is a player who you want to be in the action. Nade tossed down from Doki to Levi. It misses, and Levi might decide to re-aggress on the back stairs. He's got Lagonis just side by side with 1 minute to go. Na'Vi are droning out Freezer. They see Levi in this position, and with the opening at the bottom of the wall, they can very easily push and punish the players that are over by the laundry bomb.
Absolutely. It also speaks to morale, right? If it's match point, you don't want to lose a player early, and that's only going to mean that the rest of the round gets hard. Doki, inside of sight, out of nowhere. Is secretly now injured down on the ground. Bourbon and Nate in his hand is going to throw it out, but it doesn't matter. Saves, finds one, and Lemo trades it back onto Doki. But now we're finding ourselves in 2 versus 3. Neskin and Carl have to make a clutch to stay inside of this. Neskin finds one, but there are more to go. Remember, secretly still down on the ground. Naf will now stop planting down that diffuser. Saves will have to cover, and all secretly can do is cross his fingers, but I don't think that's going to be enough as Neskin finds another, and that leaves just Nav, who's gonna run all the way back up the staircase, try and have a friend, reviving secretly, both so low on health. We're talking 20, 30, 35. Nav will start planting on this sub 7 situation. Secretly doesn't find the cross, they push up, it's a trade-off. No! That's the planter down, Nav falls, leaving secretly as a last man standing, but that means Team 1 finds the round.
Wonderfully played by Nath to ascend the stairs and get secretly back up, and a completely unwinnable situation unless Nath goes for kills in the final 15 seconds. You get secretly back up, you have coverage, but the problem is that the bomb site is covered with these hard walls. You can't shoot through them. So secretly has to pick an avenue, he has to pick a lane, and he goes down the hallway. If secretly had stopped and repositioned towards that soft wall, he would have caught Elimao by the bomb chassis as Nath was planting by the box door. It was a much safer spot for Nath to play in, but he had no time left to do that. The timer was almost at 1. Ali Mao saves the round with a millisecond to spare, and if he doesn't get there, even if he gets the pick onto the planter, Secretly is still upright. You need a 1v2 clutch with a Smoke, who is not particularly well prepared for that with the positioning of the Smoke, and it ends up with Na'Vi potentially winning the entire matchup. Now, the saving grace of Team 1 is that they still have a timeout. They haven't used it yet, by the way. I'd like to remind you that it does not cost anything for you to use a timeout. At any point, Team 1 can say, we need to settle ourselves down. But they're playing on defense. They are clearly confident in their setup, because if they lose this round, we go to Kafe, and Team 1 squander the opportunity to settle the team down and maybe, just maybe, sort out their issues to keep themselves here on Oregon. It's a mighty steep climb, but we've seen some Mountaineers before. Will Team 1 get back to the top, or will Na'Vi seal the deal? This could be our very final round, as it's now a Dorms defense for Team 1. And upstairs, Na'Vi will have to bring it to them.
At the very least, if you're Team 1, just taking a couple of rounds off the side of Na'Vi so that if you go to that, or when you go to that second map of Kafe, they're not going to have as much cockiness and confidence in themselves. So shutting down the momentum a bit, then losing is a lot better than getting absolutely stomped in a one-sided matchup. On that previous round, the only thing from the side of Na'Vi that I question is that they chose to let Secretly be injured on that tower stairs for quite some time. He almost bled out fully, right? But then at the very end, Nav actually got off the diffuser, ran up the staircase to make that 2 versus 1 into a 2 versus 2. So I question, should they have gone up earlier, helped Secretly, and brought him down with the execute earlier in the round, or did they make the right play of just trying to gamble it out and not spend that time? Because, to be honest, they did have the time to rescue him, because in the end, that's what they ended up doing.
I think they were just confident knowing that they had that numbers advantage. They got the early pick. You have the backside of the map controlled. At that point, all you need to do is just trade 1 for 1. Even with Na'Vi having 1 player immobilized for 7 seconds to plant the diffuser, it is at worst an even 4v4, and you've still got grenades. You still have utility. So does Team 1, by the way. But at the end of the day, I would be confident if I was Na'Vi, and Secretly could have very easily said, as he's the leader on this team, don't get me, get the diffuser planted, maybe get me in the post-plant. So we're halfway through what could be our final round. It's a Dorms take for Na'Vi. Neskin is off-site. He's down below. Doki is very close to him. Blur is actually not that far away, but Doki knows this. And there's a rotate inside of security where he could be watching. Is there any intel to give his position away, or will Doki potentially net a kill?
Well, you do have both the Valkyrie and the Echo being brought up from Team 1, but we saw a 6-pick from Saves onto IQ. That is the first IQ that I personally have seen at the Six Invitationals of 2022. Love to see it from Na'Vi, the flexibility, the understanding, reading of the game, but that is not enough. You gotta utilize the gadget correctly, and of course, you still gotta do all the previous steps that you have to do beforehand, getting kills, getting map control, and finding the openings. But no, it's KDS with the Deagle of all weapons, taking down Blur. That's the sledge off the board, gets traded back straight away from a nade from down below from Doki. Beautifully done.
A bit of a sloppy effort there from Blur to try to get away after he had engaged. I think he did not expect the Valkyrie to peek out again. I would like to once again tell you that KDS is the best performing player on this team statistically. Nath is very safe by that foosball table, getting the diffuser planted. Down goes Saves, and Lagonis will swing on up. Oh, they're not watching him. Lagonis, a big 3 play. Secretly's the last one alive, and he gets out-dueled by Ali Mao. So Team 1 clearly knows something that we don't. They'll get the diffuser as well. Na'Vi go for broke in the middle of the bomb site, but exceptionally poor coverage allows Lagonis to waltz out, destroy Na'Vi, get the diffuser planter, and the round follows.
That's gonna feel really good if you're Lagonis. This is a player that is kind of like the super of LATAM in a way, where you're a lot of like LGLing, leading, leadership, captainship, and droning. And I mean, Lagonis last round, that was a highlight reel. He ran through, got 3 kills, denied the planter, and Nath as well. Beautifully done. Yes, Nath did get the planter down successfully, but there was no one alive to play the post plant really. I believe it was Secretly last alive. He died shortly after, so that didn't really matter. Very well done from Na'Vi. They got the trade back when the first player fell. Doki traded back with a grenade. That made that a 4 versus 4. Then they said, you know what? Go time. Run in with from Nave, plant the diffuser. Good. Cover, little bit lackluster, or at the very least, Lagonis just found the headshots of anything. Well done for him. And Yeah, now we're gonna go back to a kitchen dining bomb site. Team 1 now is starting to go through it, actually. They're locking bomb sites because they're getting victories, and they are starting the potential of a comeback. And again, at the very least, even if they don't make it, they're shutting Na'Vi down in their tracks so that the next map is going to be a little bit different, hopefully.
So we've now seen every single bomb site played on Oregon. Kudos to Team 1 for trotting this out when we had seen the meeting petition, or the meeting portion, earlier on. Now, instead, they'll move over to kitchen, mess hall, cafeteria, etc. On the left side of the screen for you, when we went top down, as it's on the, the western side of the map. There you go, a nice, beautiful view, cross-section of Oregon. Again, an echo getting brought out. The IQ experiment for Na'Vi only lasts a single round, and I don't know if you can pin the entirety of that round on an IQ, but she just lacks so much critical explosives and utility that teams don't really use her all that much, and it's easy. Ban a Valkyrie, you don't really need to bring an IQ, especially on maps where you can have those pesky exterior cams. It was something that Na'Vi tried to do. They threw a Valkyrie camera on the tower window to try and scout out the windows that are on kids' dorms, and it got spotted pretty quickly, but you don't need an IQ to see those. Sometimes it can get a little bit tougher. That one change to Valkyrie hasn't kicked in yet, which disallows her from throwing cams outside, as they'll disconnect after just a couple seconds.
It's very true. Not out yet, but will be in the future. Fun fact, at least from my player experience.
Give me a fun fact. Give me it.
I'll give it to you. LATAM as a region has always been recognized and seen as the best region to find Valkyrie cameras, always.
Yes, absolutely. It was actually funny because if you look at some of the stats on the best performing players, some of their most used operators on defense tend to be Valkyrie.
Yes.
You look at when Psycho was an absolute monster. Who was Psycho playing? Valkyrie. Over and over and over again.
Ask himself.
So, Ask was also
a Valkyrie reflex player. I remember that
a lot. So exactly. So these are players that excel with that low recoil, low rate of fire, but still a headshot machine in the MPX. And then of course you got the 3 cameras that can give so much intel. Okay. Fleur is also down. Crossbody karate from Neskin in the back tower. 2 big kills, and that might have completely derailed Navi's push.
I mean, that's pretty much where, like, you as a player, you go, that's the round, guys. Now we just go off the plan, go crazy, try and find picks, because that's what we have to do. Doki, so proficient at it, doesn't find that the Goonies is there once again. 4th headshot in 2 rounds.
Well, we are staring down the barrel of quite a comeback from Team 1. Na'Vi might end up being the team to take their time out because, well, a flawless round looks likely again.
I'm thinking flawless on the menu.
We almost had a flawless round in round number 2 from Team 1. There was a single kill from Na'Vi to rob the Brazilians of that opportunity. Will Saves be able to bring somebody down with him? We could see an absolute incredible feat, but instead he'll shoot through the floor. This is a bit messy, and no! Ali Mao is just better, playing at the range that he was with the shotgun, and look at that. Bam! 2 shots, and that's all she wrote. 4 flawless rounds through 10 rounds. That is incredible. Almost half of this matchup has been flawless. And like I said, go back to round number 2. Team 1, they got 4 picks before one of them died. Very nearly flawless. Could have been 5 rounds. This is something that we don't see all that often. Instead of having a matchup where one round is very close, the next round is very close, we're seeing blowouts. Yeah. Team blows out Team 1, and then Na'Vi blows out Team 1, or Na'Vi gets blown out, back and forth. The teams are defining this map by the rounds they win, by how many rounds they win, not by how close they are.
Yeah, and with that being said, tactical pause, but guess what? It's not from Team 1, it's from Na'Vi. So Team 1 has been sitting on this throne saying, we'll make it work, boss. It doesn't really matter. We're down like, 1-6 or 1-5. It's not a huge deal. Now Na'Vi, they've lost the last 3 rounds in a row. They've lost the last 2 of those opening kills in those last 3 rounds. They're now saying, guys, we gotta end it out here. Let's not go OT. And hey, if we do, let's prepare for it right now so that we're ready for when it happens. And let's just see if we can avoid it. I think it's wise for them. You don't want to lose too much momentum before you make this decision, but you really also don't want to let the game slip away. So they're going to talk about what they think. I think, if anything, they're going to be talking about what next bomb set they're expecting from them. Right now, Team 1, they are hovering the basement. I think that's pretty predictable for Na'Vi, as they had success there before. So talking about Na'Vi, guys, how are we going to break apart this bomb site? We've won it before, and we've lost it before. We were really close the last time, but not close enough. So I'm curious if a great 6 pick will come out that'll kind of break that apart. Ying is what North American teams use a lot on this bomb site. It's not really a huge pick in Europe, and right now we're seeing save sixing from the Bog onto the Flores, so this kind of signifies like a blue backside take if anything, but we'll see what Na'Vi has in mind. Either way, they'll have to start showing up soon.
Oh, a defender-sided Oregon is what we are currently witnessing. The first half had a single round go in favor of the attackers. That's it. It was round number 2. Since then, there has been another attacking round victory. Round 7, which is what propelled Na'Vi to match point, or to map point, if you want to call it that. I think specificity is important.
Yeah.
But since then, it has been all Team 1, and the defense are winning again in spades. 2 more rounds for Team 1 to send this map to overtime. Team 1 obviously showing a lot of confidence. They pick this map against Na'Vi. They go down very early on. They have a couple sloppy rounds. They don't call a timeout.
No.
And despite that, they have forced Na'Vi to be the one to pull the ripcord first. Now Team 1 still has that in their back pocket. The problem is that there's no room for error between now and overtime. If Team 1 is going to call that timeout, it will be done in OT. They've still got 2 more rounds to go, which will mean that they'll have won 5 straight. That is not all that common, but it's been done once already. Na'Vi did it from round 3 to round 7. So it is entirely possible that Lightning can strike twice here on this map. We'll see 30 seconds into what, once again, could be our very final round, but we've been saying that for the last 2 rounds, and neither have been the case.
That we have. Doki doing Doki things, entering with a drone between his feet. Sees that is very well done. Navigating good map control and progressing through the map organically right now. They've pretty much cleared it out in 45-ish seconds, which, if you look at timers of how competitive teams and how efficiently they clear, is actually quite good. But with that being said, Team 1, they're not contesting it a whole lot either, so that is to be expected. As long as Na'Vi has drones in that prep phase inside the building, they should know that Team 1 has a very weak roam presence, which means it all comes down to the bomb site setup. And this makes a lot of sense. You got Banshees from Levi on the Melusi, you got Grismot Mines from Lagonis and Niela, and you got a Rooney Gates from KDS. So obviously the bomb site is very much an enforced position, so Team 1 should play around that.
Well, for this downstairs execute, Na'Vi's focus starts on Meeting Hall. This is the same rhythm that we've seen both of these teams use throughout this map, which is take control of Meeting, try to take control of Pillar. From then, you split your forces. Do you keep somebody down at Laundry Stairs? Quite possibly. Na'Vi did it before. Do you put somebody down by Freezer? Quite possibly. Again, that's where Na'Vi went. And Na'Vi very narrowly took the map here on this bomb site. There was a bit of an issue with coverage when Ali Mao swung, and the very first pick is going to go to Na'Vi. A nice nade tossed down after some of that gadgetry is cleared on the box door. Ali Mao forced to throw out a smoke with just a minute to go. Means that he has just 2 left. Nice shot from KDS. He'll look for a second now onto these tower stairs and creep up the shoulder of the sledge seen for a second. Blur shrugs it off, and he can continue to hold this position. I don't know if he's aware of how close the Aruni is tucked in the corner. That barbed wire is going to give information as KDS looks to punish him, but the nade goes down. It's a Dark Zero nade because KDS doesn't take any damage. Say goodbye to KDS, though. Blur cleans that one up. He's still got the barbed in front of him. Team 1's numbers will dwindle, but they have an advantage. They had 8, or Na'Vi has the advantage. There was a disadvantage for Team 1, but they still made it work on the previous defense. Ali Mao was kingmaker on that round. Will he hold that same position? Lagonis very low on HP. That does not bode well for Team 1 as the last nade goes in, and Doki will follow, taking out Neskin, breaking the gate. Lagonis falls, and it's Ali Mao to clutch again. Will he be the savior 2 times in a row? Diffuser going down, damage done to Blur, but Doki says no thank you. Na'Vi takes the map.
That is gonna feel good if you're Na'Vi. The timeout really paid off by the looks of it. They spoke about what they were going to do for that specific round. They said, guys, we get 1 more shot, we're gonna end it right then and there. It's probably gonna be basement. The 6 pick from the Buck onto the floors really did work. It helped clear out that utility, and of course, Na'Vi, they got the opening kill after not having gotten it for the previous 2 rounds. GGWP, Na'Vi 6th round of the game.
Not a single player on Team 1 goes positive. The closest is KDS going 9-9 despite the scoreline of a 7-4. Team 1 tried their best. Ultimately, the comeback was very real.
It was.
You leave yourself absolutely no room for error. You slip up even a tiny, tiny bit, and that's it. It's all over. We'll show you some replays, but other than that, we've got a break before we get back with our second map. Na'Vi up 1-0. They go to their home of Kafe next, looking to put Team 1 away. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
My name is Nathan, I play for Natus Vincere, and I play the role of support. Before this year started, they made 2 changes, bringing me and secretly. We stayed together ever since. We brought more of a backbone to the team, I say, like supportive mindset. Because before they had players like Joe and Doki, obviously very aggressive entry kind of roles. So I think we just made the team more like a round, more like equal. Well, with stage 1, I think we were all like fresh, like the motivation was like really high, obviously new team, all that sort of stuff, and everyone played their individual play style.
Dorky with another big kill. It's as if Na'Vi are just worrying about the diffuser and Dorky is worrying about the kills. Secretly gets one from the hatch and it's again falling apart for G2 no matter what they try to do.
If that kind of makes sense, but I think as we gradually, like in the team for longer, people wanted to play like more of a structured way, more of like perfect siege kind of gameplay, but I don't think a perfect siege will ever like do well. So I think slowly, that's what it is. Stage 3, it was a mixture of that and just lack of motivation, I'd say, from the team. Like it was just like energy being put into their game. But I think we're slowly working our way back to getting that natural play style back in and not trying to play the perfect siege, quote unquote. I would say, well, we're feeling confident. So I think. Top 4 would be a really good result for us, at least. But obviously everyone's going to say they're aiming to win it. But I think top 4 would be a really good result for us. I mean, I think we have a set plan, like the way we play the game. But I think there'll be like small adaptations, and if those adaptations are made, majority of them will be made before the game, whether it's like strategic or like operator bound wise. But I mean, like mid-round, we all like individually are smart enough to know like cool adaptations. So watch out for Doki. I guess one-man team, isn't he?
Welcome back, everybody, to our second map between Na'Vi and Team 1. And despite disappointing days yesterday, there's a potential for revenge and redemption for both of these squads. Map 1 went in favor of Na'Vi, 7-4. That was Team 1's map of Oregon. Next up, Na'Vi goes to familiar ground. They picked Kafe, and they're going to look to knock out the Mexico Major champions on it.
I think the simplest way to talk about it is that we have a series on our hands, because at first glance, it looked very one-sided. You know, that then changed. Team 1 almost made an incredible comeback, but at the very end, Na'Vi shut them down before OT. Now, we just played Team 1's map pick. We're going on to Na'Vi's side now. We know they can be a very aggressive team, quite fierce, and on Kafe especially, I know they like to get active. We got the ban phase coming up. I don't know what to expect. We saw some cheeky bans last time. We saw Thatcher, Twitch, Wamai, and Mira. The Valkyrie was left open on Oregon. I'm curious to see if both teams are okay with that this time around. But for now, it's going to be Team 1 taking Carl off the Flores as he's now banned out.
And as he types in chat, I could only play that up, and his own team did it against him. You didn't get to see it, but Nath typed in chat, Twitch again? And it sure seems like that's the case. So Flores and Twitch are gone. This means that we will see one of the rare instances of a Thatcher being up for a competitive map. Now, Valkyrie's removed. That was an operator that was available. So we've flipped a lot of these on their heads. What will be the last one? Probably not a Kaid. So are we going to expect a Mira ban to follow? That seems like the most sensible solution.
Yeah, Mira would make a lot of sense here.
It's oNe.
It's oNe. Okay, so we actually have a Thatcher being open, which makes it attacker favored. Then Mira being open, which makes two of the bomb sites defender favored. That's reading, and it's the top floor bomb site. Mira doesn't really change basement at all. But what this will mean in technicalities is that, or theoreticals, is that you need to be extending out on the map when you're playing on the defense. The Thatcher will just tear right through every single bomb site. If you think you can hide behind a shield, you're wrong. If you think you can mute jammer a wall, you're wrong. And that's going to be a very different way of playing Kafe than what we're used to seeing, because normally the Thatcher isn't available.
What are the win conditions for Team 1 on this map? And I want to start with them because they are the team that is currently staring down defeat. Team 1 starting off 0-2 in their group is not ideal, and especially not ideal given the fact that there was a cryptic tweet put out by Ali Mao that said The Last Dance, and it was a picture of their roster. Now, if anybody knows what The Last Dance signifies, it means the last opportunity for everybody to be together and your real last hurrah. Now, we're not going to read into that too much, but it sure seems like the way that the tweet was leading was, this is our last time, this is our last opportunity. If that's the case, what do you need to do as Team 1 to ensure that you do not end up going home from groups early? What do you do to guarantee you win Kafe?
The absolute simplest form, you gotta have fun. Honestly, if you're not having fun, the vibes are down, that is a terrible way to go out on your quote-unquote last dance. But outside of that, I think Team 1 needs to get a little bit more active. They were not playing super active on the map of Oregon. When they were on their basement defense, there was little to no roam presence at all. Not stalling Na'Vi, not slowing them down, not killing almost any drones at all. And when you're playing with the Thatcher open, if you're gonna be hiding like that on the bomb side and not extending up and above and out on the map, you're going to have a really bad time if you're Team 1 or anyone in that particular instance. So, on the defense of Team 1, get active, get out there, get in Navi's face. They have the gun skill to do it, they just have to be willing to actually get there. It's actually a mining defense first round, by the way.
I'm not letting you call it basement anymore, by the way. It's the first floor. First floor, second floor, third floor. You're going to have to settle in, okay? I know you need...
For 7 years
You need to acclimate, my friend.
Acclimate.
That said, you're absolutely correct. This is not the usual bomb site that teams would like to start off on. We'll see Cocktail from time to time. We'll see a reading. We might even see Kitchen on that bottom floor. So what are your immediate thoughts? A minute in, we've got some time to kill. How do you approach this as Na'Vi?
If you're Na'Vi, well, first of all, the one thing is that you're not going to be super used to this bomb site, but I think they got a good start so far. They're taking piano, they want to work this pixel shield. Once they've cleared it out, there it is, Nate beautifully lands. Now they got to clear bathroom. They got to eliminate that bathroom player inside of top floor, and then they got to start working the piano hatch and the vertical play, and then you can attack mining if that's what you want to do. I think that's the safest, most comfortable, and clear-cut way of approaching this, and right now, they got the time for it. They still got half the round, but they don't have Doki. That's the lethal entry and Maverick off the board, plus the grenades. KDS finds the opening kill.
Oh, and a nice play by Saves on Repel, but Levi is ready for it. Blur's a bit drunk inside a Cocktail, as one will usually do when those words are paired together, but it's KDS to chop him down, size him up, and that is it for Navi's entry. Secretly's the next one up in line, but he's going to spray wildly with that bearing. Recoil control basically non-existent on that gun. Na'Vi trailing early, not the start that they want on the map that they chose, down in a 2v4 with a minute still left. Secretly holding on to the diffuser, so that's good. Case control is there for the attackers, but that means that Nath will have to just do Overwatch, sit there and stare intently as Secretly goes for the plant. That means, hey, enjoy your 1v4.
1v4s are always fun if you're on the winning end of them, but if you're losing those, of course, nobody likes losing. Secretly trying to get cheeky here, sidestep down the white stairs, see if he can maneuver around Neskin. They're kind of dancing right now, but they failed to clear out the bathroom player. It punished them, and now Secretly gets punished right back. That's Neskin with the shotgun.
At that point, it's more of an act of desperation, and I'm sure both Secretly and Nath know. You mentioned it on Oregon, where you lose too early and you say, okay, that's a recoup, we'll go next. Pokeballs tossed out to Nath, the impact grenade sailing by his head, doing some damage. He'll bait for kills, but all of these will be completely impactless because with 10 seconds left, a 1v4 is just not doable, especially if you're not in the building. Team 1 knows this. They'll exhibit some great patience, and Neskin pops up as Nath swings the window, and Team 1 take round 1.
Very nicely done, and it's kind of telling the same tale of how Oregon almost ended, where Team 1 kind of had the advantage. They kind of were finding rounds. Now we're going to Kafe, and yeah, they're starting off early, kind of where they left off on the previous map of Oregon. It's well done for them, but it's also Kafe defense, and Na'Vi actually did not bring the Thatcher in play on that last round, so we didn't see the effects of it. But I'll also argue that on the mining bomb site in particular, the Thatcher doesn't have the greatest of impacts. It's much more effective for the top floor, the reading, and the basement bomb site, where you commonly see the mute jammers, the kite claws, and the shield setup really mattering so much. But the problem for Na'Vi in the previous round was that bathroom player. He didn't have almost any backup. The shield got cleared almost instantly, but they still failed to clear him out. They didn't use the Ivana's Heartbeats gadget onto the bathroom wall. They just kind of walked in. Doki was the first to fall, and then it snowballed. KDS got 2 kills, and then just ran away. They said, you know what, we got what we wanted. Now we can play on side 2 versus 4. The round should be over in our favor, and now they're going to the basement instead.
Sorry, what did you call it?
This is the actual basement, I swear. I promise.
Like first floor.
No,
it's the first floor.
But it's not. It's not the first. It's not the ground floor.
Sorry, we
either.
just ground floor. It is the ground floor, and you know why? Because it connects with the ground.
Yeah, that's what the basement.
Basement is beneath. There is no stairwell down, Nick. You walk in the front door, and what are you on? You're on the ground floor.
I was raised in apartments. We only had. Okay, there was no basement there.
We will agree to disagree.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I will try my hardest.
It's come up a couple times when Europeans have casted with North Americans. North Americans will say, oh, it's the first floor. Oh, it's the ground floor. And then North Americans will say that. Europeans will turn around and be like, oh, no, it's the basement.
I will try my very hardest, but I cannot promise any success.
Well, I appreciate that. I think both those teams said the same thing going into this matchup. We will try our hardest, but we cannot guarantee any success. So here we are.
We have tried their very hardest, and both teams have found success to a degree, but so far, Na'Vi, they're one map up.
For fans of Latin America, it was obviously not what you wanted, as the comeback from Team 1 fell just short, but the first round going in their favor. Team 1 round 1, why not? You're in much better position. This time, a take on to Kitchen is going to function a little bit differently, and I do have to wonder if the fact that mining was the very first bomb site, if that played into the fact that Na'Vi were not the most prepared. They struggled to take Cocktail, they struggled to take Piano, they struggled on Whitehall, and when Doki got cut down to size, that really did hurt their ability to execute, as Na'Vi never grabbed control of that third floor. Now, they need to grab the second floor, because as you can see, Team 1 have a considerable investment upstairs right now, playing off of those kill holes. And on the hunt is going to be the sledge of Blur, but there's a doorway in his way that is currently barricaded. He'll have to fight through that. He goes all the way down instead, and he'll have a line of sight towards the A-bomb chassis.
And now we're doing a good job making sure to everybody go Baker together, ensure the wall gets breached, and afterwards we'll have to worry about people on that second floor location. So far, they haven't really invested much above. Na'Vi seeming to actually not want to go above at all. Maybe they're just going to flush the side through Red Hole instead, because right now they got vertical holes staring them in the face. That's going to cut them from going for a straight bakery attack. Blur looking to get active, looking to get a bit cheeky. They drone out the Yokai drone. Red Ping comes out, but there's no activation yet on the side of Na'Vi.
Oh, and just a missed opportunity. He doesn't land a single shot. That's going to haunt Blur, as I don't think he's aware of how little damage he did. Doki now taking up space inside of Prep, though. He reads that there's an opportunity on in. The Yokai drone will spot him, so he'll hug the wall. Right next to Saves, and a toxic canister goes out. They both have to get out of there. Flushed out to the kill hole. Lagonis with one LMO starts the fun. 2 members of Na'Vi down for the count. A third will follow in secretly. Again, Na'Vi fighting from behind. Case control as KDS lords over it through those kill holes, and he has a line of sight for a potential kill onto Saves. Nath dropped by Mao, and Team 1 are so dominant through these 2 rounds. Saves in a clutch or kick scenario with 20 seconds left right now inside of Small Bakery, and he's going to ponder his own existence. Where do you go? what do you do? At this point, allow your team to maybe recover and recoup as you go for an impactless kill. All of Team 1 will fight for the final player, and it's Lagonis to get it. Team 1 up 2-0 on a triumphant start on Kafe, and that is the motivation that they needed to get themselves mentally back into this match.
Yeah, KD denied for saves, doesn't get a kill that round at the end of that 1 versus 4, and this is Team 1 getting active. We kind of spoke about what they should be doing, and they are doing exactly that. They're extending up on second floor on that first floor defense. Previously, when they're playing mining on second floor bomb site, they went up third floor inside a bathroom, and they're basically challenging Na'Vi, giving them problems they have to solve. And to be honest, Na'Vi, they looked really, really good in Oregon. They were beautifully picking apart the bomb sites when they were on attack. They were finding interkill after interkill, and Dogi in particular had really good success on both the defense and attack. And so far, Na'Vi has had a very simplistic approach to both of these attacking rounds, and neither of those, of course, have seen success. And I think there's a good reasoning for that. They looked, so previous round on basement attack, they all went bakery, great. They breached the wall together, ensured nobody died, the flanks were held, amazing. After that, they went onto the mining balcony, outside on second floor, and they droned it out. They saw the presence of Team 1. Then they said, we don't care. We're just gonna go back to the first floor and then die. Where in a perfect world, you want to clear out the second floor so that the verticality becomes useless, and then you want to go back downstairs and then attack the bomb site. But they went for a simple approach, and simple is sometimes better, but it's not always better.
I mean, if you're a fan of another FPS, simple is almost perfect, so...
Simple is almost always.
Speaking of Na'Vi, by the way...
Oh, yeah. True. This round, by the way, sorry to cut you off, on this round, we're going to see the effect of Thatcher. It's the first round that's being brought out. It's the first time we see a Kai that's paired with the mirror inside a bathroom. So keep an eye on Doki and how he uses his EMPs.
A good opportunity here. Thatcher has been used very infrequently so far in this tournament. Most games, Thatcher is ending up banned, which is unsurprising because of the potency of those EMPs. Unlike certain hard breachers, where your other operators can carry that secondary hard breach gadget, there is no secondary EMP, no pocket EMPs. You do have Kali as an alternative, and you also have Twitch for that Twitch drone to do some work, but those are not exact surrogates. Those are alternatives. They are not replacements. First bit of action comes from Na'Vi, softening up Neskin, and now Elimao is down. This is something that Na'Vi has struggled with in the previous 2 rounds. Team 1 leading off with the killing, and Na'Vi will tee off this time, taking down the castle.
That is also the first opening kill for Na'Vi in this map so far, and Blur follows it up before Lagonis trades it back onto Secretly. That's the Hibana off the board, and honestly, as your only hard breacher, now it kind of renders the Thatcher almost useless. Sure, you can still deal with the Jaeger ADSs, but this mirror window setup with the Kai Claw can now not be cleared. Na'Vi needs a second way around this bomb site because this attack is no longer gonna work.
Well, I mean, you wanted to see the Thatcher, and I feel like you willed it into existence, talking about how important the Thatcher could be, and then guess what? Not really all that important. I mean, I'm sure those 3 EMPs from Doki will still be crucial to some extent, but certainly not for opening up any of the walls that you'd want. And with the mirror setup right now, both mirror windows inside a bathroom, you want that Thatcher to take some of that piano wall, open up the wall, open up back a bar, open up bathroom. That is your priority. That is obviously not going to happen now with Secretly in the grave.
That is not going to happen at all, and that's what I said. Now he needs a different way around this bomb site, and so far they're doing just that. Rotating to that east side rappel, with only 1 player inside of Cigar Lounge and last player on the skylight. This is good. They can drop the skylight, push Cigar, rabble in the building, and that will have to be the approach, and it looks to be that they reach the same situation as I.
Oh, a nice roam in, or a nice crush in, but Levy just stops them in their tracks. 3 kills for Levi. Lagonis finds saves, and Na'Vi, despite having the advantage, are done for. Lagonis picks up 2, Levi with 2. The rappel in onto Heaven Window ends up leading them to hell at the hands of Levi. And as much as Na'Vi wanted a potential first round, they're going to have to wait a little while longer. Team 1 have the start that they're looking for as they're up 3-0.
Yeah, that one is gonna suck if you're Na'Vi. 2 opening kills. They got a nade and they got the shot. Yes, Lagonis got a C4 kill to trade it back. And honestly, the only person that Na'Vi could not lose would be the Hibana. And guess what? The only person they lost in that early round stage was the Hibana. Even if the Thatcher had died off, you can use your grenade to try and clear the Claw, but you cannot do anything without the Hibana because it's the only hard breach at your disposal. And this is why contingencies are a good thing. I mean, we saw Sonics play triple Heart Breach. Imagine Navi had brought triple Heart Breach and Thatcher. They could breach any wall at any given moment if somebody died.
Ace does not seem to be an operator that Navi likes to bring from all that we've seen, but bringing an Ace and a Hibana seems like it's so simple for that particular bomb site. You can tackle Cocktail, you can tackle any potential roam, you can tackle that piano wall, you can tackle the wall leading to Ticket Booth at the top of red. You don't have a ton of hard breach potential with Hibana, because to open up a hole that allows you to walk through, you almost always have to use 2 rounds of Rex Kairos. That leaves just 6 pellets left, which isn't good enough for a kill hole or for a line of sight. It's also enough if you just use 2 of them to take out a mirror window. But if you want clear passage, if you want to take out 3 of those walls inside a piano, top of red, leading to the bomb, leading into the bathroom, you're going to need more than 1 hard breacher. Na'Vi decided, let's just go for 1. Insurance is a great word for it. There was no follow-up for Na'Vi. Out of all of the operators to die first, the worst one went. Secretly is going to call from the bench, but you have no hard breach potential, and that effectively means you funnel through the doorways or the soft walls that have been opened up by the defenders. They have the advantage. They have the information. They know where you're coming from, and that's exactly what happened in the previous round.
It is, and the only tricky part about the double hard breach on Kafe is, you kind of talked about it earlier on Oregon with the Valkyrie, for example, is that you're not bringing any soft breach, and that's the issue. You're not really bringing any projectiles either. Sure, Hibana has the flashbangs, but Ace doesn't have any throwable outside the gadget in itself, and of course, that gadget shouldn't be tossed into an ADS, but rather to breach a wall. Doki, 0-3 here on the injury, haven't found any success just yet, but he was such a crucial player on Oregon, so he has to start getting active soon. Levi using these yokai drones, they know exactly what Na'Vi is up to, but Na'Vi does not know that they know what they're up to. Of course, Lagone is all the way downstairs in that first floor. He also brought out the pulse scanner, so they're really going to be able to play around the information, and C4s could also be quite lethal on this floorboard.
What did you just say? I'm sorry, it seems like you just said C4s are particularly lethal. And boom goes the dynamite.
6-0, by the way, on Lagonis.
Doki was the first to die on this same floor back in round number 1. It was a mining defense. This time around, Team 1 are going over to reading. They're going to hold that same middle bomb site inside a dining or fireplace, depending on what you personally want to call it. But losing Doki early, again, not ideal. In the previous round, you lost the Hibana. You still kept the Thatcher. This time, you lose the Thatcher, you still have the Hibana. So, if you look at an operator with denial, which there actually isn't any for Team 1, and that's okay, but if there was any denial, that could be a mortal and fatal blow, losing Doki early.
Yeah, and this is a tough part because Doki is the entry of Na'Vi, but now he's on that flex-ish position of Thatcher, and Saves now becomes the entry instead, finds the Gunners with that nade, 6-0 off the bot, now make that 6-1. Saves finds a second, he's now on side, but where's the follow-up? Where's the help?
This is an absolute frenzy, but Neskin holding down the spot, takes out yet another, leaving Saves to try and do what he can, but he gets out-dueled by Levi. 4-0 for Team 1. They are putting on a clinic, doing their best Na'Vi impression on the previous map, and this Na'Vi team that we're seeing looks eerily similar to the one that showed up against OXG, or rather, didn't show up against OXG just yesterday.
Yup, 4 and... no. It is a dire situation. It is Kafe defense.
Timeout being called, by the way.
Timeout being called. We're gonna sit on that for a little bit. Lagonis had a great round there himself, got the early kill to Doki. We spoke about how Doki is the entry player for Na'Vi typically, but on the situation of Thatcher being open, it is now kind of Saves on that Iana, and Saves kind of doing most of the entry work so far. So I believe a role change from map 1 to map 2, which usually it can be beneficial. In this case, I think it's just like that's what they need to do as a team, but I am not sure if this fits Doki's role necessarily, his positioning on the map, and more importantly, with Thatcher being such an important operator, you can't really risk dying the way he has been so far. So, question comes, well, is this the right way to approach it? I think they should just stick it through, no point changing it now, but with this timeout, they do need to talk about what is the next step going forward, how do we get the next 2 following rounds, get that 4-2 side swap, that's not the end of the world, and then have a banger defensive side, and then bring it back. That's what you gotta do. Other than that, don't have many options, right? There's only 2 more attacking rounds left. You cannot get 3 more attacking round wins. It just doesn't happen that way.
Well, I mean, Team 1 have now absolutely won this first half.
Yes.
You as Na'Vi want to try to pick up at least one or two of these rounds. This is your map, I would like to remind you. We live in this bizarro world over yesterday and today where teams share so many similarities in map pool that your map does not really exist, right? I mean, there are certain teams that have very weak maps, and the way that a best-of-3 ban system works, you are almost always going to play on a map that you may not be strong on. Now, when you have a team like Team 1 or you have a team like Na'Vi, they frequently play most of the maps in the map pool, so you don't have to worry too much about something being exposed. You don't make it to top 20 in the world by only playing the same 2 maps, so there's going to be competitiveness no matter where you are. But to have Na'Vi demolish Team 1 on their map, and now Team 1 returning the favor on Na'Vi's map is fascinating. This means that our third map, Villa, has become exceedingly likely. When we started out here on Kafe, it certainly didn't seem like we were going to need a third map, but now it is very much on the menu. Na'Vi taking that time out, they're going to settle their nerves down, maybe try to find something, because you've got 3 players with 1 kill, 1 player with 0 kills. That is dreadful as we head into round number 5. It means that strategically, you are not doing particularly well. Your strategy and the depth of that is not sound, but more importantly, you are just not winning your duels. In your heads-up gunfights, they are losing almost every time to Team 1. Given that Team 1 struggled yesterday against Damwon Kia to spawn in and win their gunfights, it's nice to see Team 1 bounce back.
Yeah, Na'Vi only having 1 opening kill in 4 rounds so far. Starting up on 5th map, it would be a nice way for them to see to get another one, make that 2 opening kills, and then maybe work with that. If they can convert that opening kill into a round win, that is essentially the way forward. Losing that opening pick, however, would be really dire for them, both for their gameplay itself, but their mental, right? They've lost the Thatcher, they've lost the Hibana. It's been really frustrating to be Na'Vi right now. They need a win somewhere on the map, and I'm not just talking a kill or 2, I'm talking a full-on round. Doki in particular has to start getting active on the scoreboard. Going 0-4, I know it sucks, it happens to everybody, but Doki is such a crucial player for Na'Vi, and right now, he's just on Thatcher duty, doing, well, Thatcher things, which isn't super impactful right now because Team 1, they're not heavily playing around the wall denies most of these rounds.
Well, immediately taking that top floor and now trying to translate that to the second. Blur smashing open the floor. One member of Team 1 was seen for a moment, but then disappears as Blur turns his attention elsewhere and will continue to wreak havoc on that wooden floor, absolutely destroying it in the process. Trying to be quick to the punch is Na'Vi, maybe getting the hatch down, but secretly sees that it's already been opened up very conveniently. Over half of the round to go. This one has absolutely flown by. And Na'Vi are going to have to confront a very different defense from Team 1. They're not stacked up inside a bakery. They're not using their utility there. Most of Team 1 are towards the back of the bomb site, which means freezer and playing inside a VIP. You saw the deployable shield there being watched by KDS. He's got a nitro cell in hand and he can withstand just about anything as Warden.
No, certainly, and this is very well done by Team 1. They're extending both to the bakery side and VIP, where we're seeing the likes of KDS on that Warden. Warden in this particular position, very important because you cannot get flashbang, but no one is safe for explosives. Saves peeks with a grenade in his hand, and it works.
Oh my goodness, this is just a calamitously poor timing from Team 1. As Na'Vi catches 2 of the players with their pants down, a third now as Neskin looks in the wrong direction. Lagonis falters, he falls, and Levi, as a 4-0 player with Echo, will have to deal some damage long range, gets swung by both, and it saves credited with the very final kill. Na'Vi capitalizes off of some mistiming from Team 1, and they finally get their first round.
I mean, the fact that a flawless round opens up with Saves walking down the brown staircase with a grenade in his hand, tosses it between the legs of Alemo, blows him up, and that leads to a flawless round 20 seconds later. I think Na'Vi should start the third map with a tactical timeout. Just, you know, talk about the game, figure it out, go in, be explosive, and then play off of that. That was exactly what Na'Vi needed. They had a beautiful round from beginning to end, and yeah, sure, every single gunfight went in their favor, but you can't always be on the losing side of these things, and even Doki is now on the board. We got a 5 versus 5 on our hands, and that is what Na'Vi needs to have a chance to bring it back.
You need some kind of motivation, right?
Yeah, you do.
Doki's going to stay on that Thatcher, and this is the final attempt for Na'Vi to work out a hard breach and Thatcher combo. I say this because Doki dies first or secretly dies first. That's what happened in those 2 rounds when the Thatcher was reunited with a hard breacher. It sounds like we might be getting a rehost. I'm waiting to hear on confirmation from this.
Yes, we are
Yes,
getting
it sounds like we will be getting one. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but the teams will slowly trickle out. And this actually, I would say this actually benefits Na'Vi quite a lot.
Second timeout almost.
It's effectively a second timeout. So we will come back to shots of the players as we rehost. Team 1 will also have an opportunity to talk, but not to their coach. Even if it is a pseudo timeout, I think it's important to note that the talk will be solely between the teams, not the coach. The coach's headphone will remain up. You will not be able to speak to them. No mic will be active on their end, but the players can settle themselves down. The good thing for both of these teams, and while I don't think it's a clear-cut win for Na'Vi that this has happened, is that right after this round, they're going to switch sides.
Yeah.
This gives you more time to not just suss out the final round, but then turn your attention to when Na'Vi goes on defense and Team 1 goes on attack.
No, certainly, and if you're Na'Vi right now, I think you're kind of happy with that second timeout because they have a challenge in front of them. They got back to that top floor attack, third floor, where they have Team 1, they were bringing both the castle, the Kaid, and the mirror. So they're very, very likely, if not definitely, based on what we saw in a couple of seconds in the prep phase, doing the bathroom setup once again. And the last time this happened, that was the exact round where secretly on the Hibana, the only hot breach got C4'd early in the round, and thus Na'Vi, they faltered. They could not find a way to break the round up, and now they get a second chance of redemption, and it's in the very final attacking round to get that 4-2 side swap before going to defend. So they need to be discussing right now. Well, first of all, don't doubt a C4 secretly. Don't doubt a C4. And then Doki on the Thatcher. Don't doubt a C4 either. Just stay alive. Get the utility out. Break the wall. And then the round begins. This is kind of that old kind of meta style where you get the utility-ish meta. You need to deal with the utility first. Then the gunplay comes after. So Na'Vi, take it slow. Play it safe. Break the walls. Then go crazy.
Well, we are now loaded in.
Yes.
And funny enough, the music that's playing right now sounds like a mute jammer, by the way. The music that was just playing, the ambiance that we have, this chill, lo-fi beats that tickle the inside of your ears, it had that kind of sound, and I thought, oh no, tell me it was not fixed. But it seems to be fixed. Teams have to go to the same bomb site. They have to bring the same operators, by the way. So you're going to go back upstairs to Cocktail and do a very similar setup. The reinforcements from Team 1 looked to mimic what we saw from their previous Cocktail defense. Stack up bodies by bathroom in back bar. Once again, use the Electric Claws to try and force out an EMP onto those mirror windows inside a bathroom, and then the one as well that looks towards the doorway to New Hatch. We'll see if that's exactly how it unfolds and how Na'Vi is going to tackle it.
Yeah, a Lemo 6-pick in the castle like he did previously, like he had to. And this further enforces this position. They're going to be barricading the south window of Piano, likely the white hallway window or the door into bathroom to further enhance his position. There it is. That's the white hallway window castle barricaded. Do we get the bathroom door as well? Yes, there it is. 2 for 2, make that 3 for 3 now. And then he has a fourth one in his pocket. That can go in double door cigar. It can go in a fourth window. It doesn't really matter. But those 3 castle barricades are the primary, most important ones to basically enable this site setup. And Team 1 heavily investing into this. Now, if you're Na'Vi, you can do 2 things. You did bring the buck. You could go for a vertical take, go into library reading, do vertical play with the buck up through the floor into Cocktail. Or you can do what you tried the previous time around and go for that direct attack with the Thatcher, with the Hibana. You know, take care of the Kite Claws, break the castle barricades, breach the wall, and then progress from there.
Well said, and the castle barricades weren't really an issue for Na'Vi last time either. Their stumbles came from their inability to take control of Cigar, and once you command that part of the map, you can then push forward. If you don't get White Stairs, if you don't get White Hall, if you don't get Cigar or Piano, you are in grave danger because there are very limited ways to attack this bomb site outside of that, unless you try to go up Red Stairs. But then again, you're going to run headfirst into Cigar and Piano, which right now is littered with barbed wire and it's being watched by the Mira of Lagonis inside a bathroom.
Team 1 has actually surrendered a Cigar right now. There's no one playing that far up. So once Na'Vi figures this out, they can actually start taking map control. Levi is playing like below, on the floor below them, so he's not actually nearby at all. And I think Na'Vi now sees this. They walk on in, and now they've gotten the first step, that is Cigar control.
Wonder if there's a pre-play C4, a Nitro Cell waiting for that new hatch drop, because there goes the first EMP. Secretly has not died, so the hard breach is still up.
Great.
That should take care of the Electroclaw on the mirror window. They'll have a brief window of time to remove that black mirror, and it sure sounds like they just accomplished that. The last time that Na'Vi attacked this bomb site, they decided to go through the window that led to the new balcony. The problem was when they went for Heaven, there was a Kaid down below watching that. Well, guess who's down there again? Levi is back down in that same position. His attention is on the other side of the map, though. He's looking towards Train. Lagona's softened up, and he'll have to drop through the hatch, as it's a successful job from Na'Vi to open up that bathroom wall. Team 1 are going to completely vacate the southern part of the bomb site and the eastern part of the bomb site as well, dropping down. Ali Mal leads off the killing onto Secretly, but the Hibana at least opened things up before losing the gadgetry. Grenades sail in with 30 seconds to go. Na'Vi looking to tie up as quickly as they can, but they're incapable at the moment, and they will trail, with Lagonis being on such short HP. 25 seconds. That's the time you have to work with. And nobody wants to give a single inch. Look at this. They're just sitting there. You have to have some level of urgency. Trying to control the stairway. Na'Vi will watch them get back into the bomb site, but Team 1 sweep right through and take the final round of their defense flawlessly. Again, another flawless round. The teams will switch sides, but this is an exact mirror image to what we saw in Oregon. Na'Vi was up 5-1 at that first half. Now it's Team 1 up 5-1 on the second map.
Yeah, the roles are definitely reversed, because Team 1 looked in very, very lost, as you said, in the first side of Oregon. Now Na'Vi is like the third attacking round out of 6, where I'm like, what exactly is going on, and what was the purpose of that round? You get Cigar for free. Team 1 says, you know what, you can have it, we don't care anymore, we're gonna run away. Then after 30 seconds, Na'Vi realizes that, oh, you gave us Cigar, thank you, let me just open it up. Okay, present, nice, we're in there. And then they stall. They didn't move an inch for 45, 60 seconds straight. And actually, it was Team 1 who kind of ran into them from the defensive side and took back the ground that Na'Vi had tried to get the entire time. It doesn't make any sense at all. But now, Na'Vi, they don't have to fight for the ground the same way anymore. Now on the defensive side, they just have to try and hold it. But that's no easy task, especially with Thatcher open, when no Team 1 can play the Monty. They showed it, then they 6-picked off it. This basically signifies Team 1 have many different ways of approaching this kind of map, and they can both do the Thatcher without the Thatcher, the Monty without the Monty, and they're actually bringing 2 hot breachers. Yes, one is a throwable in the Ace from Lagonis, one is the grenades on Maverick on Neskin, so they have kind of an insurance plan going on. If one guy falls, they do have the other, and as long as there's no mirror from the side of Na'Vi, they could Maverick these walls as well.
So, a timeout was taken by Na'Vi, by the way. We're keeping track of who's taken timeouts where. Na'Vi took one in map number 1, and they've done so in map number 2. None taken from Team 1 just yet, and why bother on this map in particular? You are so far ahead. You don't want Na'Vi to get back in this matchup. It looked like Na'Vi was going to pummel Team 1 and carry on to Kafe really well when that first half on Oregon finished. But the thing is that we ended up witnessing a very defender-sided Oregon. Could we see the same thing happening here on Kafe? My spidey senses suggest that is the case.
I think you're very right, Parker, honestly. And so far, it's going to be a bit of a slow round. I think it's a great way to open it up. Team 1 can kind of feel out Na'Vi on their defensive side. We actually see Sage bring out a Bandit, which is usually due to the fact that Thatcher is open. Of course, Team 1, they're responding back not only with the Maverick on Neskin, but they're also doing a full roam clear from top down, which means there will be chaos from above verticality. They only have the Bog on a limo, no sledge available. Na'Vi with a soft roam, about to drop back here at that 1 minute 10 second-ish mark. Blur gonna stick around for a little bit longer, maybe try and kill a drone or 2, but it's gonna be about half the round, give or take, and then it's gonna be vertical play, execute, and chaos. KD is now walking down the wide stairs. They have now been granted full map control besides that first floor, aka the bomb site itself. Team 1 can now hold the flanks, start setting up those air jabs from Levi, making sure that nobody can walk up those red stairs, Doki, and then do the vertical play.
Was a little clear of the throat right there, Doki. Doki. By the way, we have cough buttons, so if we ever need to do that, we can mute ourselves. So if he didn't mute himself, you know. It was very deliberate for those.
Or I'm just an amateur.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. What was the operator, by the way, that I spoke about earlier on that is now being brought out?
I touched upon it because you pointed out, I was like, you know what, Parker? Maybe you are a genius.
I don't think I'm a genius. I just think I've watched an extraordinary amount of Rainbow Six Siege and try to keep my mind as fresh as possible. So
you're still not as smart as Reddit analysts, though. So
yes, of course.
Still got one
of course. Yeah, that is correct. Mickey Caster, as they would call it. Nath with the very first kill. He takes the gunfight to KDS and wins that one, walking away quite well. The Yana down, but one of the nades from Yana have been tossed out at the last second, so not all hope is lost. You still had some utility. Secretly doesn't have a deployable shield in front of him inside a VIP, but he does have 2 ADSs that'll be able to eat the projectiles or thrown gadgets that go his way. 20 seconds left. Levi is next to falter, and it does indeed seem like a defensive showcase between these teams as a strong start for Na'Vi is dominating their first defense. Doki will reascend and just misses out, gets the kill on the Levi before being knocked ass over Tea Kettle with that air jab. In bursts Team 1, but they're shut down. Alimau is next. Beautiful shots on his end, but guess what? There's no time. Blur with a final 2-piece to end the round, and Na'Vi is still very much in this. They pick up their very first round on defense.
I mean, I did cough the Doki word sneaking up the red stair because he did. He actually got the kill onto Levi with like a hip fire at the very last bullet as he got air jabbed into the wall. Quite lucky for Doki, but ultimately, I don't think it would have mattered too much in the grand scheme of things, seeing as Na'Vi had that round under lock and key. Alemo had a beautiful entry here, finding both Secretly and Nath, but it wasn't enough. Blur was there to shut it down, got 2 of his own, and that's the second round on the board for Na'Vi. Now, basement is locked. Where do you go next? Currently, we're showing a reading fireplace situation with Doki being the flex player on Kafe, going from the Kaid onto the castle. So he's doing Thatcher Finks on attack, now Kaid Castle. This is a little bit different for Doki than what I was expecting, but honestly, if this is what they need to make this work, I am all for it. And as long as Doki can stay in this game on these operators, I think it's just right for them. Blur, signature Frost operator. We saw that with great success on Oregon. Alemo specifically walked into that trap. I want to see if Blur can do that one more time as well. Saves bringing out the mute. That's going to help you with the walls. I'm pretty sure Na'Vi figured out that Team 1 was not bringing out that Thatcher previously, so now the mute comes into a great effect and there's no easy way to clear them out. Had to be grenaded or shot with your weapons, but lines of sight on this map are limited. You're seeing them reinforcing off bathroom with 3 walls. Castle barricades going out, Frost trap behind the couch. This is going to be a nightmare if you're going to be Team 1 inside of Piano. There is so much utility in your face. And remember, once you've cleared all of that out, the bomb site isn't even up above. It's down below on second floor inside of reading.
As we always say, you clear top down. So in this case on Cocktail, in this case you want to clear out Cocktail first before then looking towards that middle floor. Na'Vi had struggles taking control of the top floor on their executes. Will Team 1 be more proficient? They are bringing a very similar operator lineup, but they're only bringing 1 hard breacher in the Maverick. That is a bit puzzling because Maverick needs to be very close. And if Maverick gets incredibly close and there's a toxic canister or somebody swings with a shotgun or a nitrosol gets tossed out, as we see Na'Vi doing quite regularly in their matches, then Maverick might be a little bit too vulnerable. It's a big reason why, with the exception of the bottom floor, a lot of teams don't like running Thermite on this map because there are too many angles at which you can be swung on, aka dying on, or losing your exothermic charge on.
So, as I said, so smart. Secretly opening kill to Lagonis. Blur very low on health. Nave slowing down the push here from Team 1 with those toxic babes and the shotgun. But Levi has something to say about that. Takes down Doki. Has the castle off the board and train control guaranteed to Team 1.
Neskin will follow up with a kill onto Blur, and Na'Vi will now trail. They are not sitting against match point just yet, but they are close, and it will get even closer as Team 1 can taste victory. They burned half of the round away and found the kills onto 3 players from Na'Vi. Still 2 more to go. Staying power from Nath with a single toxic canister left, as Saves is also still alive. Off site is Nath on that smoke. The roaming smoke is almost never to be expected. Most importantly, with Lagonis dying, that was the case that got surrendered. So Team 1 now picking it back up. They don't need to reposition all too much. Maybe a bit of shakes from Nath as he misses the drone. Immediately transfers onto Ali Mao. And he's also in a castle barricade to keep him a little bit safer. He doesn't need to worry too much about engaging here, but why the hell not? He's going going to do it anyway. Swing to try and even the numbers out. Problem being, he's now left Saves all alone, potentially to die in the middle of the bomb site. Still time for Team 1 to circle the wagons and sharpen, but no! Saves missing the opportunity. Shotgun out. He'll have to reload the SMG, seeking shelter and safe harbor inside of the bomb site. He might have just heard the Maverick not too far off. Nitro Cell against the wall as the diffuser getting planted by Levi. Saves will have to win this on a pixel as Levi completes the job, and the timer will start running. 40 seconds for this Na'Vi team to stave off a potential match point scenario. Through pillars, Saves will go. This is going to be tough for him to do. There will be a lot of angles to watch. He doesn't know where Levi is. Flying blind, and Team 1 now on map point.
So now, you're Na'Vi. You do not have a tactical timeout. You are now on map point, sorry. And if you lose this, you're then going to the third map of Villa. You now need to do the same thing that Team 1 had to do on Oregon. You can lose this map because you won the first one, but if you can gain a few rounds, shut down your opponent, and put them in a worse mental state going into third map, you're alright. But if Team 1, they keep continuing up this trend of domination on Kafe, Na'Vi, you have to question what will he be able to do on Villa. Doki had a rough game so far. I want to see him back being aggressive. Want to see him back on the entry because that's one of the biggest reasons why Oregon went the way it did. Villa, a map where there is more mobility involved than Kafe, where you're more often stuck in corners and you're playing that utility game. That seems to be Na'Vi's weakness so far. The utility game, both on the attack and side of clearing it, wasn't particularly amazing. Using it on defense, now we finally see the mirror on this top floor defense. Now we can try and see, well, Na'Vi, they couldn't really attack against this. Can they defend it, however? Because they should. If not, well, that's it. You go Villa, you go next. It's map point.
Well, this has been even more one-sided than we saw on Oregon. For those of you that didn't tune in, you might look at the top of your screen. The UI does change, by the way, but the banner at the top shows that Na'Vi has won a single map. It certainly looks like Team 1 is going to do the same thing. This is Na'Vi's map. The decider is Villa. The Italian countryside will potentially give Na'Vi or Team 1 the victory. Comeback potential for Na'Vi still exists. I want to say this because we had almost written off Team 1 on Oregon, but then they mounted quite an impressive comeback. It fell short, but it was still there. Anything can happen at the Six Invitational. Anything can happen in regular pro play, but at the event with the highest stakes, with the best teams in the world, we have seen pretty close to miracles happen. There was almost a reverse sweep one time that ultimately fell short, but I mean, that was many years ago, Nick.
Yep. Different time of age in Rainbow Six Siege, and honestly, it feels like a different lifetime ago as well at that. Nowadays, the way Rainbow Six Siege is played is at a much higher level. The players, the organizations, bigger than ever, better than ever, and honestly, people are putting in so many hours, practicing so much to compete at this level. It's why when unfortunate things happen, like a player can't attend, or a player has COVID, or somebody gets taken out early like Blur, it sucks to be a fan of those teams because you don't want the team that you cheer for to be the team with a disadvantage, the team to lose. And right now, if you're a Na'Vi fan, you need to pray for third map because right now in the second one, it's looking really dire for them. Minute and 40 seconds left. 5 versus 4. Alemo deep inside of library. He can do some damage with that bug verticality, and it seems to be like oNe will support him for just that.
Na'Vi being down 1 certainly doesn't mean that they have a good shot at just holding out hope of this round. There is a beating coming for them either way. It's still very possible to win the round, but... Carl, are you okay there?
He got it.
Carl, he got it. The buck down below is going to be a major hindrance for this defense of Na'Vi, tearing through the floor as best as he can. Oh. And there goes KDS, though. So Nath roaming down below. He knows the buck is in reading, tries to get back to the top of the stairs. Levi shuts him down, but not before Alimau is picked off by Secretly. The teams stand at an even 3v3. Levi creeping up towards back bar. There is an SAS operator in the hands of Saves, the smoke, watching from that angle. I think there was a grenade that went off to damage Secretly, but I'm not sure. He lost half of his HP. 40 seconds left with Team 1 on match point. Na'Vi have their work cut out for them. They need to be patient as all can be. Too much patience from Team 1 means they lose the round. The objective is always in the hands of the attacker, and if Team 1 don't know where to go, then they'll end up losing out, not because of anything that Na'Vi does, but because the clock strikes 0. Levi still waiting for the call. A flash will go out. Lagonis has diffuser. He has to drop. Where will he drop, though? Doki swings, another drop down. Lagonis frags out onto Secretly. As you have both Saves and Doki in a 2v2 with Lagonis now planting the diffuser. Neskin will cover. He misses his opportunity. Doki will now be able to cross. Where is Saves? The smoke goes off. Lagonis being able to get the diffuser down, and now Doki has dropped. A heroic effort from Neskin to take one down. Spam marks for Saves, as he knows there's one there, but they have dropped down below by pillars. Both of them are down there. A missed opportunity again from Saves. This is the story from Na'Vi. Lagonis repositioning with 1 HP. Neskin down below. On the diffuser is Saves. Do they know he's there? They'll creep up, but they can't shoot in the right direction. Saves is there, an elbow spotted for a second, and Na'Vi gets it because of a big blunder from Team 1, and Na'Vi stays alive.
Team 1, it seemed like they thought, you know what, when this bomb goes down, we win the round, it doesn't matter. Lagonis survived with just 1 HP, jumped out the window into safety, but at the same time, Neskin dropped over the ledge down into pillars. There was no grenades left, no soft freeze from Sophia. They could have gone back onto the skylight, dropped down, tried to play that angle, could have gone back on that window rappel, rappelled in, baited out for time, but no, both of them just stayed right below. The floor wasn't broken that well, and they did not have an angle. They could not find their shot, and Saves on the smoke with SMG-11 somehow, some way gets away with the round by just holding F and holding on and praying for his life that they will miss on that floor bang. 3 rounds now from the side of Na'Vi, as they have won 1 basement defense on their very first one, then they lost reading, then they won the top 4 defense. Now we're back on first floor, back where it started, back where they started getting rounds on the board. Can it do it again? We got the same lineup from Team 1. We got the Nomad, we got the Ace, we got the Buck, we got the Ina, and we got the Maverick. It is the side of Na'Vi that has been doing most of the flexing so far, but they too are playing a similar fashion as they did the last time around. They got again the Bandit. They want to make sure that if they go for direct attack, the Maverick has to be used. They want to slow down the possibility of an Ace going for those walls, and it makes sense, but previously, Team 1 did not care about Bakery in particular. They went for a top floor, down, roam clear, into a backside hatch drop and VIP take. So, when this setup comes out from Na'Vi, it doesn't necessarily favor what happened last time, but that didn't matter because last time, they were the winners. So Team 1 has to respond.
Why do you think it is that Team 1 stalled out in the final 45 seconds of that round? Because it certainly looked like they lacked a clear direction.
I think they were setting up, and you kind of spoke about it when you were commentating as well, where they were waiting for the call. They wanted to ensure, because there's a clear cut on the side, they had 1 guy skylight, 1 guy... Saves.
Oh.
You're supposed to be penetrating the wall passively. You're spawn peeking Levi on the Nomad. This is actually huge, Parker, because now Doki can walk up the staircases and get kills. So this will make Team 1's job significantly harder once they clear the map, because they'll have to be actively on 3 different staircases. But Doki gets a little too aggressive, and KDS trades it back. 4 versus 4 on match point.
The story of Icarus, you fly too close to the sun and your wings burn right off. And Doki, in that particular instance, did his best Icarus impression. He hesitated for a second. I don't know why or what the reasoning was for it, but you're correct. If Levi is down, you've lost your best flank watch operator, an operator whose whole kit is designed to shut down the flank. But that doesn't mean that flank watch ends. It likely means that somebody from Team 1 has to fulfill that role. Yeah. It also means that a player who is designed to do something else during the execute is now taken off of that spot. That weakens the overall impact that you can have when you go to get the diffuser planted, and completely changes up the way that you have to go about attacking the site. The benefit of taking out Levi immediately negated by Doki dying.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Doki not go for that peek, seeing as she had the advantage. Let's say the roles were reversed and Saves had lost the gunfight against Levi. I think it makes good sense for Doki to try and even it back up, go all in, and is Blurb just proning and dining? Blur is literally, he's sitting next to 2 people. He's doing the same thing in an Oregon,
not again.
on the floor. They're just approaching. They have no idea.
Zen-like patience, Nicholas. Zen-like patience. He sits there and they'll just walk away. They don't see him. They don't see him. Team 1 now. This is.
He's right next to him.
Oh, hello?
He sees him.
His legs are right there. Hello? He's still there. Why are you not looking? Hello? What the hell was that? I am just astonished.
XD from Doki in chat. no dead bodies in this game
what
anymore.
are we witnessing? KDS gets 1, 2 even from KDS. This matchup is upside down. Saves with his second kill, 20 seconds to go. Lagonis drops into Freezer in the midst of the smoke, but he dodges away from it. He has a diffuser in hand. Ali Mao now getting his life ticked away, same with Lagonis. Saves with a Nitro Cell. He could potentially get both of them, but he needs to play this correctly. They're underneath the default. The Buck is there to watch. Shrugging off damage, he takes out saves, and Ali Mao swings to give his team the victory. The Buck saves the day. What an absolute puzzling conclusion. But Team 1 stick the landing. They take Kafe 7-3, and Villa is up next.
Oh boy, oh boy. So back in the day, when you killed an opposing operator or somebody from your team died, the dead body would linger around on the ground. But nowadays, the dead bodies, they disappear from the game after a couple of seconds. I think Team 1 forgot that memo because Blur did his best dead body impression possible. He just laid still for 45 seconds, only found 1 kill. Thankfully, the side of Team 1, but that was absolutely ridiculous.
Villa is up next. We did indeed need all 3 maps to go. Before we toss to a break and disappear from your screens, we want to remind you that we are not the only show in town right now, ladies and gentlemen. We have another matchup going on. They might be on a break. We don't know where they are in the actual match, but there is Damwon Kia versus MIBR happening on twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo. Do us a favor and tune into both of those games. It's pivotal that you see what's going on. DWG Kia, they end up being one of the strongest games, or strongest teams in this event, and I'm sure it's a hell of a game. They put up a frenzied match against Team 1 yesterday, so I am fascinated to see what they are able to accomplish, and I kind of wish that I was watching that MIBR game right now, but we are very entertained with the matchup that we have right now on our screens.
That we are. We've seen both Na'Vi do their thing, now we've seen Team 1 do their thing. Third map, this is like the grand finale of this best of 3. Who will come out on top? We'll find out very soon.
I honestly don't know. We have a break ready for you, and then the thrilling conclusion here to Team 1 versus Na'Vi. Well, if you haven't been keeping up with the match today, well, what have you been doing, frankly? Actually, I don't know why I'm asking that, because if you haven't been keeping up with the match, you're probably not watching me right now, which means that I'm asking people who aren't tuning in. But if you have been watching the match, how exciting has it been? In both maps, we just saw Blur do just the greatest disappearing act in front of Team 1's eyes and get a kill both times. Right now, we go into map number 3 on Villa with Na'Vi winning the very first map against Team 1, and then Team 1 answering back. This is the map summary from what we just witnessed on Kafe, and the middle column shows you that it was a frag fest.
That it was, and I want to talk about Doki a little bit here. He went 3 and 9, so -6. 30% cost, that's basically consistency. That's like cost equals consistency. That's easy way to remember it. 0 and 2 on the entry. That's unlike Doki. I want to see this player in particular pop off on Villa. That's the key factor for me. On the side of Team 1, you see pretty even kills on the board. 9, 10, 8, 7, 8. So top gunner is 10, bottom fragger is 7. There's a 3 kill difference from top to bottom. That's really well done. Basically meaning Team 1 are all on fire. Their cost 70 and 80% across the board. A 10% difference. This means every single player is doing their job phenomenally.
This is a break from what we saw in a Team 1 yesterday, and it's definitely a break from map 1 today. Yeah. In their matchup against Damwon Kia, Team 1's biggest criticism was that they were not able to hit their shots at all.
Yeah.
Against every team here, that is going to haunt you, but up against a hyper aggro team with excellent aim that is Damwon Kia, they will crush you because of it. Na'Vi had their same struggles to hit shots yesterday. Nobody on the team went positive in their matchup against OXG. In map 1, Doki led the way on the team, and most of Na'Vi broke even, whereas nobody on Team 1 got better than a 1-for-1. Kafe told a very different story, and with a 7-3 scoreline deciding the matchup in favor of Team 1, it's no doubt that they are significantly more prepared now for Villa than they were. This Team 1 team, maybe they're just late risers, but they've now woken up, and they are in great shape heading into our third map.
No, certainly, and actually for this particular matchup of Na'Vi Team 1, the opening kill is quite defining of who wins the round. More often than not, that has been the case right now. Yesterday, the games that we cast at Parker, that wasn't necessarily the case. Opening kill would go one way, but the round win would go the other. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't know what's happening, but we have a second stream, twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo. I can hear the casters being super excited, so go check what is going on before we start the third map here. Then come back, of course, you're going to watch Villa between Team 1 and Na'Vi, because we'll be starting very shortly as we're heading into the map bans, or the operator bans, sorry.
Not even just very shortly, we are here.
We are here.
We are here. Team 1 will be starting on defense on Villa. Every single map has a defender bias right now. Unlike a caster bias, there is a real bias in these matchups, and it tends to skew towards the defense. As to what we saw on Kafe and Oregon, it certainly seemed like the defense were much better. Now, going into Villa, is that trend line going to hold? First operator ban is Flores. This was the operator that Team 1 took out on Kafe. He's no longer available for Villa either. He's very strong on all 3 of these maps. In fact, I would argue, and I don't know if you'd agree, that Flores is strong on basically every single map. But on a map like Villa, where you have to get gadgetry off of walls, where you have to clear out Banshees, Melusi being a very common pick here, an operator like Flores does a disproportionate amount of damage to the defense. Team 1 don't want to deal with him. They're starting on defense. They remove him from play. Even if they use him, it means Na'Vi can't be able to do much with him.
I think it makes really good sense, honestly. It does.
I agree.
And especially on maps like Villa, as you mentioned, the utility, the shields, the positions. Same for Oregon, where, yeah, it was open. It was also used like every single round, basically. And lastly, echoes off the board. So we went from teams not really minding Valkyrie being open to teams playing Echo a lot, to teams basically saying, you know what, Valkyrie and Echo, they're both annoying, let's ban them both, we don't want to play IQ ever again, and just keep it super simple. This will be a no intel kind of Villa, so sneaking around, creeping around is going to favor the attackers, of course. And secondly, also, there were Mice open for the first time in this entire series, while Maya was banned both on Villa and on Oregon, and now you can really bunker up. And with that Flores ban from the side of Team 1, who's starting on the defensive side, they have some really good shield positions that they can enforce and make even stronger. And on this very first round, on AVG, Aviator Games Room, they're also utilizing the Mira. That's pretty insane.
Mira's made it through on the last 2 maps, by the way. She was taken out in Oregon, which is pretty standard for an operator like her, but Flores and Hibana being banned here on Villa also means that Thatcher is in play yet again. A bit odd to now have 2 maps go by where a Thatcher and Mira are available for the teams. And unsurprisingly, Mira gets brought. I am a bit surprised that we don't see a Thatcher on the board, but I feel like Na'Vi is too confident that quite confident that they don't need him, that he's a bit unnecessary. If you look at the hard breach that's being brought, it's a single operator, and that is the Ace. I wonder if we are going to see the secondary hard breach gadget be brought on Nath. I haven't seen his secondary gadget just yet, but no, it's flashes. So if the Ace dies, that's it. You don't have any other fallback. No insurance, as you called it.
Yeah, and that is honestly just kind of what you have to do if you're Na'Vi right now. I think you need projectiles when both oNe and the Jaeger is open and the Flores being banned. If Flores is open, just bring the Flores. The Retero drones can do a lot of damage, but with oNe and Jaeger both being available, you gotta bring both the flashbangs and the grenades and saves. On the finger has brought flashbangs as well, Parker. This is so unlike what we normally see, because why would Finger, who has nades available, ever want to bring flashbangs? Well, it's pretty simple. With oNe and Jaeger on the board, you need more throwables, and 3 flashbangs beats 2 grenades. You still have the gun 6 on saves, you still have 4 grenades, 2 from Sledge, 2 from Iana, you have 2 gun 6s. This is actually a very dynamic lineup from Na'Vi that will allow them to deal with these operators adequately. So well done for them.
All of the ADSs and magnets. Look at how many flashbangs is that? Excuse
Every
me?
single one.
Every flashbang in the server was just used on the main stairs, and guess what? Alimau gets out alive. Yeah, he loses the deployable shield in the process, but other than that, he still has his head intact. And he says, you know what, to hell with it. I don't need those ADSs. I don't need those magnets. I don't even need the shield. I'm still going to play in this particular spot. A grenade is there, and from Blur it connects with Lagonis. Alimau grabs 1-2 for the price of 1, in fact. Still on that same spot, watching the bottom of the stairs, but he will persevere. Na'Vi get the first kill, but it is immediately answered by Team 1.
Yeah, Na'Vi did a good job. They cleared out the discs and the ADSs. They got the shield, but then Alemo, he got back into that position. Nobody on that study balcony window to hold the crossover, and he gets 2 kills for the price of 1. Lagonis off the board. That's a smoke. That's a big kill, but is it big enough? Carl's sticking around, gets taken down. Nav, or Nave rather, should I say, gets 2 for the life of 1 in this case, as Nave is almost dead himself. Now you got a 3 versus 2. Na'Vi in the driver's seat.
2 2s for the price of 1 we saw.
2 2s.
Are we watching a ballet? Because there are 2 2s on our screen here, Nick. Team 1 now with 1 minute to go, sitting inside of the bomb site. They had a good start to map number 2. They need to keep up that momentum. A shotgun pointed at the holes that are down below that will continue to be made by Nath as he wreaks havoc inside of living room. He'll still post up in that spot. He's in library, rather. They're both connected to each other.
I really like this from Na'Vi. They're slowing down the gameplay, saying, Nave is low on health, let's drone it. We had drones in the flanks, red stairs, 90, etc. Move those drones up, leapfrog, and once the information gets through from those dead players from Na'Vi, Blur and Doki, then we can take all 3 guns at the same time and work together. They need to watch Nave's health here. 1 bullet will take him out, but 1 headshot from Secret does the same thing.
And answered right back. 15 seconds to go on a stalemate with these teams at even strength. Nate's still low on HP, though. He's been given extra staying power. What a shot from Saves. And Neskin with the shotgun finishes both of them off as they line up beautifully. Extremely well played, and this is what happens when you waste all of your utility. Guess how many flashbangs you had in that last incursion? 0. Why? Because you used all 9 of them on the main set of stairs to clear off 1 oNe, who then killed 2 players on your team.
Every single flashbang and multiple nades were tossed. Again, as I pointed out earlier, Saves brought the flashbangs on the finger because it's better to have more flashbangs than to have more grenades if you have things that are going to stop the nades from exploding anyway, which with the magnets and the ADSs, you will have that in your way. Nath, oh boy. Showing the buck, 6ing the Montagne. Spoiler alert, if you guys haven't seen Na'Vi's previous game on Bank against OXG, where they lost 2-7. Nath was playing Monty, multiple rounds on attack. It was not a pretty view to watch. And I don't mean just Nath playing Monty, it was actually somewhat okay. But just how Na'Vi as a team played around it.
I thought it was funny because we watched that match in the green room yesterday, and you have some of the UK boys that are here, and they're talking at length about this Na'Vi team because they have personal friends on it, and they said, hey, you know what? Na'Vi is really struggling to get some kills. You know what we should do? We should take one of our best aimers and put him on Montaigne. That's a smart idea, and guess what happened? They lost. It was a terrible idea, but still.
They didn't just
funny to
lose,
dunk on.
Parker. They got absolutely dominated. So I really hope that Nave and Na'Vi has learned as a team that what they did on Bank was not the right approach with the Monty. Yes, you can still bring the operator, but your approach with the operator and how you play around it, of course, has to be a little bit different. This is a different map. They played Bank the last time around against OXG. Now we're on Villa against Team 1. So I wouldn't compare them one-to-one, but do keep an eye out on exactly how the movement happens and what Na'Vi chooses to do with the operator at their disposal. Secretly, on the master balcony, this is a good idea. You get like the pincer where one guy cutting off the master bedroom rotation while you're going to be clearing from study over into that area. And then eventually, if you succeed in the roam clear, you will then meet up back and where secretly is on the master side, and you can breach the walls, do verticality, etc. But right now, we gotta watch out for the walls are very, very open all of a sudden, like KDS has impact grenades in his pockets.
That's not it for KDS. He's getting pinched at the moment. He needs to ensure that he doesn't go onto the Monty. Okay! KDS, what the hell is that? 3 kills before he's silenced from the rappel. Secretly is down 2. If KDS does not retrieve, this is a flawless round for Team 1. Na'Vi getting just sent by the wayside.
I think you take a timeout here, right? Safe's gonna sit here on the roof for a little bit. They're gonna talk about, guys, what happened that round. All right, so I can talk about what I think happened that round. They didn't use the Monty correctly again. They knew KDS was behind the bar because very evidently he opened up the wall and then shot your teammate, so that's obvious. But then instead of Monty going first with a fully extended shield, because remember, Saves was on 90 repel, that meant that that half of the map was safe. He had the rotation. Monty could have walked up into long as he did and just danced in front of KDS, teabagging the floor basically saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, and that's when you strike as Na'Vi. But instead, the confrontation that came first against KDS wasn't from the Monty, it was from a gun, and KDS got all 3 kills and the round was over right then and there.
Well, I suppose that's as much time as he wanted to spend talking to the team. He gets a single kill, a flawless denied, and then Team 1 pick up the round either way.
Yeah.
All right, well, Na'Vi, you've had some time to settle things down. Where do you go from here? 2 miserable starts on a very defender-sided series. The defense have stretched their lead every single time that we have seen these maps begin. Team 1's start on Villa is perfectly in keeping with what we expect. And, I mean, the Monty is interesting. It's going to be something that I would love. It's something that I actually love to talk to Na'Vi about after the fact. Why are you doing this? Because it didn't bear any fruit yesterday. It certainly didn't this time either. The Monty experiment lasts a single round. Yeah. Team 1 will go upstairs to trophy statuary. It was a kitchen defense on the previous round, even though most of the setup mirrored and mimicked what you would come to expect from a trophy statuary defense. That's the way that kitchen does play out, especially on the statuary side of things. But now, the Na'Vi lineup looks more sensible. They have made one change, though. They're going to bring the Thatcher. Nath will be on that support role with an ace as your hard breach.
I really do like this. This is exactly what I was expecting on the previous map of Kafe. You get Nath on the flex role. Doki goes back on that entry aggressive role. I think they both benefit from this. I also think it's the right call to let that Monty experiment kind of rest on that one round, and maybe at the end tail of this attacking side, they can bring it back for another round, but I think it's fine. But for now, we go back to a 5-gun setup. Probably gonna be better off. And honestly, I was on the demo in the UK, guys, about like, what do you guys think is the reasoning for Na'Vi bringing out the Monty? We spoke about first game jitters, spoke about pressure. We also spoke about kind of like the safety parachute where, okay, this is not going good, this is very difficult. Pull the parachute and Monty comes out. And for myself, I was a Monty player for a very long time. We had a similar mentality around it where, well, if you cannot break the rounds apart on the attack, the Monty might make your life a lot easier. But this is LAN. Monty's a little bit different because of low ping in situation. And also, Monty has seen multiple nerfs the last year and a half. Hipfire is weaker, the melee mechanic is weaker, you're super exposed pretty much at all times. And the way that the staggering system works, when you get meleeed or you suffer explosive damage, yeah, it's not a great time to be a Monty main. That's why most teams don't bring him. I respect the effort, but maybe not again.
It's almost like you're speaking from experience as a Monty main.
Yeah, I mean, Blitz as well. I mean, Blitz is more fun.
I remember having a conversation with Kix back in the day when we were talking about shield operators because there weren't any real dedicated shield mains, and we were trying to think, okay, well, who's the best shield player in the world? And stumbled upon it, and we're like, well, I mean, he's very versatile, and we know him for playing Smoke and other operators, but on attack, Monty was one of your signature calling cards, so... I mean, if anybody knows the ins and outs and vulnerabilities and strengths of a Montaigne, I wouldn't ask anybody before you.
Yeah, the way I saw was that, Lion was our ban permanently, but usually, like, our Monty was, what other people would ban against us because it just wasn't fun when we brought it. And that was a different time. Monty was a lot stronger back then. He still is feasible. You can still bring him, but it is difficult, of course.
Lion was a bit stronger back then, too.
Lion was also stronger back then as well. He still
Lion was a little bit stronger. Lion's counterpart, Finka, has actually been very, very strong. As Zolfia's pick rate has dropped, Finka's pick rate has surged, pardon the pun. So, all of us talking about that, by the way, forgive us for filling your screen with banter and analysis of other operators because would you look at the time, 45 seconds to go, and nothing has really happened. Map control was taken by Na'Vi about a minute ago, but outside of that, there's been no real incursion except for what we just witnessed. Doki down for the count, Blur joins him, and Ali Mao on the stairs can watch the hallway towards 90. The first kill on a run out comes on behalf of Secretly. His Claymore finds KDS, and Ali Mao is finished off as Nath is split pushing. He walks his way up the stairs. Saves is not too far off. They're going to line up at the doorway to the A-bomb site with Secretly inside of Master. Levi will lose some protection. A beautiful shot. It's his third kill. He's got all four of the team. Looking for two more, and Ace could be up for grabs. Lagonis down on the ground, he's blind. Levi is removed from action, so that's as many kills as you're gonna get. Swinging on a blind smoke, there you are, but you gotta get the diffuser down. Neskin will need to be the hero, but he's miles away. He sees the wrong body, so his target prioritization needs to be better, as Saves completes the diffuser. A brief pause as Neskin heads through Astronomy. On that hard wall is Secretly, his back turned to Neskin. Noise being made as he shoots away, but Secretly, he might be old, but he's still got a good gun, and he can still shoot back. It doesn't look like it'll be as dominant a half for Team 1 as we saw before, as Na'Vi gets on the board within 3 rounds.
Very good if you're a Na'Vi fan right now. They're getting on the board early. Third round was theirs. Really weird round. Nothing happened for 2 minutes straight. It was a very safe and passive roam clear. Not a lot of extension from the side of Team 1. Then it got super explosive. Red Stairs came up, got 1 kill, ran back down, that got traded off. Levi swung, got 2 kills, made that a third later on. Eventually, it became a 2 versus 2 where a flashbang basically defined the round as it came out, blinded Lagonis in the smoke. They ran in, they got the kill, 2v1, bomb goes down, Neskin last alive, 1 versus 2, has to walk through a single doorway with 2 people staring at him. That's not gonna bode well for him. They're now gonna go back to AVG. That was the first bomb site of this matchup so far, and Team 1 prevailed. That was the round where a ton of flashbangs, 6 I believe, plus nades at the same time, all got bombarded towards the main stairs where Alemo was playing. And what happened? Well, Alemo got 2 kills, and that was kind of that. It was a very close round that ended up in another 2 versus 2 essentially, but it was ultimately Team 1 that got the dub. So, Na'Vi, they have a choice to make. Will they go for the same similar approach? Because Team 1, they're extending over to the Master side of all things, and when the mirror is available, this becomes extremely lethal and very difficult to deal with. And that might just indicate that Na'Vi is going to go for a direct study tick again because that mirror window is no fun. But we'll see in just a second. Either way, Team 1 playing a very dynamic setup. Love to see it. And I think they are feeling pretty confident on this map so far.
I think both teams are playing with a level of confidence. I think Na'Vi is obviously shaken. They didn't get the results that they wanted on their own map pick of Kafe. And I mean, I am interested to know why the team played and fared as poorly as they did there. It just looked like they had some jitters. Right out the gate, they got knocked off, and Team 1 seized that momentum and kept going. The one thing that I will say about Team 1 that seems to be the toughest obstacle for most teams is Team 1's level of emotion. They are always happy. Even when they are losing, the frustration does not seem to be that important. They always look like they're having fun. They always look like they're in good spirits. And it is so hard to wear down a team that just mentally does not quit.
It's the same thing for APAC, right? A lot of APAC teams that we see, they'll be, I mean, the good old Noah Renko, like dancing and making funny things, and now we see the likes of Damwon, Kia, Sandbox Gaming, etc. They're all having fun. Elevate, that we casted last night against Dark Zero, they were laughing when they were losing because they're just happy to be here, and then they win at the same time. They're getting 2 dubs at the same time as 1. Amazing.
Would you say 2 dubs for the price of 1? Because we've got 2 2s for the price of 1.
2 2s.
2 dubs for the price of 1.
2 2s. Kind of an odd take on off from Navi, by the way. They had 2 guys on the master side, then they had like 2 guys on the study side, 1 player just kind of lingering around. They haven't really made their mark on how exactly they want to approach this round so far, and I don't think they know what to do, and I don't think Team 1 knows what they're doing either. It's a very much like a... We're standing still right now. We're waiting.
A standstill is correct.
I call this fishing. They're fishing.
What are they fishing for?
The hook goes out. Do they take the bait? Do they get the kill? Do they get the opening into the round that they want to get? So far, no. Neskin in the basement even. So the entire map is covered between these 2 teams. But nothing's happening. We're waiting.
We have a festival in Toronto, or a show, if you want to call it that, called the Sportsman Show that goes on every year, where they do things like hunting and fishing and boats and stuff like that. And I think you could say, along with that fishing pun, that this is the eSportsman Show.
The eSportsman Show.
Same premise. There's still fishing. It's just a bunch of gamers attending the event instead of your typical conservationists, hunters, fishing enthusiasts, etc.
No wonder the bait doesn't get taken, because imagine a bunch of gamers trying to fish. I can't imagine that boding well. 40 seconds left. Nothing has happened yet, and Doki might start the round over. But we'll see if Elimo reads it. Sees the drone, but no, Doki's the one that comes out on top. Elimo gets off the board.
Very first pick, and all that utility, all for naught. 2 magnets, 2 ADSs, a deployable shield, and Ali Mao had fallen off of that position. Doki just walks right in. 20 seconds left. It feels like we're in the 20-second meta here, Nick. Blur walking in towards study, but in order to get there, or rather vault, in order to get there, he needs to charge on through the smoke. He'll do just that. Watching the doorway, waiting ever so patiently, but Lagona swings up on him. It's 3 for Neskin, saves there to try and keep it together, but 1 second left. He'll be unable to do it. What a mess of a round. Na'Vi waiting way too long to accomplish anything. We're left scratching our heads as Team 1 celebrate another round victory.
Yeah, and as I said, I don't expect gamers to be particularly good at fishing, and especially Na'Vi. I mean, they were putting out the bait from all 5 players, and no one really took it. It ended up with Doki saying, you know what, I'm sick of fishing. I'm gonna just walk in there and grab the fish with my bare hands, and that worked. They got the opening kill into a limo, but then when he came back towards the red stairs, he got traded back into that 4 versus 4 position. But other than Doki, nobody from Na'Vi really acted in that previous round, and it bit them in the butt. They need to get more active on the map, on their attacking rounds. They cannot be scared. The first round, they did just that. They threw the flashbangs and nades. They got super active in the first like 50 seconds. Second round, I mean, the round ended in like the first minute. They rushed study with the Munty, and KDS got a triple kill. We all saw that, and ever since that second round with the Munty, Na'Vi has been playing extremely passive and extremely slow, and sometimes that might just work, but Team 1, they understand where the line is in the ground. They know that they have these really reinforced positions. 1, the mirror windows. 2, the shields. And 3, the typical positions on the bomb site itself. They know they don't need to walk away from those positions because you left the Omai and the Jaeger open. So they like to be safe. And Na'Vi, it is their job, it is their duty to pull that apart more so than expect Team 1 to make a mistake.
All right, well, Team 1 will go, what is that, back upstairs to Trophy Statuary.
Yes.
This was the one bomb site that Na'Vi prevailed on. They did
narrowly.
So very narrowly, yes. It was a very tenuous hold that Na'Vi had on the bomb site after they got that diffuser planted. I don't know if they'll make any course corrections here. Na'Vi obviously still have their timeout available. Team 1 has not taken a timeout at all between these 3 maps, and well, they might need one at some point if KDS keeps killing himself early. And I say kill himself because at this point, he got a little bit too cute, and he's the reason why he loses HP. Nice shot. Saves right through and almost gets another, chewing away at the heels of Ali Mao. The Mozzie can continue on towards Library and then head to the stairs, but he's going to be a little bit lower on HP. Doki knows that he's somewhere in that location, and he'll wait for him to show up.
Look at this, the read is out, and damage is done. Saves takes him from the behind, and now 5v2. This is Na'Vi getting active. A minute has gone by. They've gotten 3 kills. They progressed through the map. They've reached the one side of study, and this is exactly what they did the first time. They're being proficient, efficient, and fast. The last couple of rounds, they were not, and those rounds did not go in their way. This is how Na'Vi needs to play the round, and Agonis says, this is how I need to play this round.
This is a situation where the gameplay for Na'Vi over the last 2 maps does not give me full confidence that Na'Vi will still win this. Lagonis and Neskin can put some beautiful things and work together, but it's going to be a tough storm for them to ride out. It really depends on the pacing of the round. Na'Vi a little bit too slow before, but they have a massive leg up over their opponents.
Yeah, I like this one. Like, this is the time to play it slow. You're playing that 2 versus 4. You got a minute and a half left, now a minute and 5 seconds. You want to ensure you get the 100% best possible outcome for when the push comes through. The Astro Repel here is amazing. The yellow ping with the nade, surely that gets the kill. Yes, Doki knows how to cook the grenade. Let's get off the board. Lagonis in a 1v4.
And it's a 0v4 as an anticlimactic finish for Team 1, whether they had some potential to come back or not. Na'Vi do not repeat the mistakes of the previous round. They are much quicker to the punch. They assess they have an advantage, and they use that to the best of their ability. Now, I don't know which team it is. I'm assuming it's going to be Na'Vi, but the coach's microphone is down, which means that we're in the middle of a timeout. One of these teams have settled themselves down, and with the camera being on Na'Vi, I'm going to go and say that it's probably Na'Vi who currently called this timeout. They have an opportunity to go even with Team 1 on this half, and Na'Vi desperately need another round if you consider that we have a very defender-sided matchup on our hands. And Villa, in particular, is incredibly defender-sided most of the time, drawing even with Team 1 on this first half. Na'Vi starting on the disadvantageous side is a very good sign. Very good sign when the side swap happens. So for Na'Vi, this is a particularly crucial round. It's a kitchen defense for Team 1. The only time that Team 1 has gone here, it was back in round number 2. They prevailed.
Yeah. We saw at the very last second that Nath ended up 6-picking from the Buck onto the Thatcher. So I do think that Na'Vi had a big conversation going on, talking about like how are we going to ensure we can get this final attacking round tied up 3-3 and then do our thing in defense. And this signifies it, I think. The Thatcher coming back, we haven't seen that for a couple of rounds. It was the Buck, it was the Munty. Now we can basically breach the walls and hey, it's a kitchen defense. This is where usually people play the mute jammers, they play the kite claws, they play the pulse. The Thatcher is great in this situation. You also get the breaching charges for verticality in case you lose the sledge. So a very versatile pick for Nath. He'll have to use that at his disposal as Na'Vi really needs this round. It looks to be a roam clear, as you should expect. They want to utilize the verticality, study over as they've been doing so far. Doing it rather swiftly again, 30 seconds, they've already breached the wall, already on the balcony, and this is looking quite comfortable for Na'Vi in this first beginning half.
That's a quick pace for them to establish, 30 seconds in. It almost feels like we're back in the 20-second meta with how slow Villa has been.
Yeah.
Just keep your eye on the time, because even though Na'Vi has done the first bit of work, that does not necessarily mean that they will accomplish more past that. Both teams have struggled on Kafe. It was Team 1 who stalled out despite having an early opening, and Na'Vi might find themselves in the same position. Also, did it not look like a drone just caught some of Team 1 nestled into the bomb site? It might have been Ali Mao's drone. I don't know if he has one. It looks like 0 on our screen, but I'm not entirely certain. If not, it looks like Team 1 just charged past a random drone and they might have given themselves away.
It's always hard to figure out which drone is yours. You can like set ping them and they show up as like red or blue with the marker, but other than that, you just gotta assume like, is this mine, is it not? I don't really know. But Na'Vi has done it. First half of the round over, this is actually a pretty good pace. They will now do verticality and they'll have to drone out the bomb site and figure out where are the opponents of Team 1. Which corners will they sit in and what kind of things are lurking down below. They have 1, 2, 3 C4s on this side. That's going to be a big factor for Team 1 if they can do damage from below. If not, it's going to be a little bit more difficult as the floor will start breaking above them.
And already Lagonis is getting softened up by some bullets, and I say that because he walks away with about 1/5 of his HP. The pulse will still continue to hold that cardiac sensor. He and his calls will be particularly important moving forward, especially on this bomb site, because you want to defend actively upstairs. If you fall off, as Team 1 did, you need that cardiac sensor to be able to give you information, but he gets blown up. Levi almost falls to that same grenade. Blur getting very close to 2 kills with 1.
Yeah, I'm curious if Team 1 will go for a flank or not. So far, they're sitting ducks and just waiting around. And Na'Vi, they're the ones that are going to be making the plays right now. Doki drops down into laundry, and they're going to be signifying that, guys, this is happening very, very soon. Once this kill comes through, that's going to be the charge in because they have the advantage. 2 players in Team 1 are off the bomb site.
Oh, and the Heli Mao, though, is doing his best to try and keep his team competitive. Na'Vi have control over by the bomb site, planting by the main doorway. It's up to KDS to swing on in, and the coverage is there. He takes out Nath. Oh, no, Nath, just a huge self-inflicted wound. He needs to go for the plant now, but where is his cover? Blur is the last one alive. Neskin finishes him off, and that is Na'Vi destroying themselves. An eminently winnable round, and they blow it. The first half goes in favor of Team 1 4-2.
That is what happens when you lose a ranked game in Siege Max OT. A heartbreaking defeat right there. They were planting with the first player, and one strafe bullet from Team 1 took out the planter. Unlucky, that happens. But then after that, you start planting again, or you start running towards it at least, and then a team kill comes through. It puts you away from that man advantage, and even though Team 1 had 2 people off the site, it didn't matter because Na'Vi, they did the job for them. Took out their own planter. They didn't have time left to do the job. And then eventually, they lost the round 4-2. Side swap. Now, Na'Vi back against the wall. They had a terrible last round and a half. They now need to really show up and make up for that fact on this first defending round. They gotta get back into the vibes and the momentum. Losing that and going to defense, sure, you can say, guys, it's okay, don't worry about it. We got defend now, it's gonna be easy. But it's always going to leave a slightly bitter taste in your mouth, knowing that you could have gone 3-3. In fact, you should have gone 3-3, but you didn't. So, now we might see some hero plays trying to make up for the fact that they didn't get what they wanted. And the operator lineup so far is the Smoke, Melusi, Jaeger, Goyo, and Wamai. So a similar story to the one of Team 1. You got the shields, you got the fortified positions, you got the gadgetry to slow down attackers, and you got the Wamai and the Jaeger to protect all of those assets.
How do you even... You just called a timeout. You just called a timeout. And you blow the round for yourself. What an absolutely demoralizing finish to that first half. Na'Vi had it all working in their favor. All they needed was the diffuser to be finished off. After that kill, Nath just needed to stay there, watch over top of the diffuser being planted, and they have it. That's it. Nath ends up killing his own opponent, or killing his own teammate instead of the opponent, and then Team 1 swing onto the final 2 members, and you just run out of time. That is...
It's a heartbreaking way to go out. But
mentally, how do you come back from that?
But that's the thing. They're not fully out, right? And now they got defense. So if you're good mentally as a team, you can get, guys, whatever happened on attack, forget about it. Now it's the next round, the current round, and that round only. There is no reason as a professional team to talk about what happened in the past, because that is in the past. You cannot alter or change what happened. You gotta look at the round in front of you. Round 7, first minute has been blown, and we see a Lemo on his classic Buck pick. He can do some damage from down below. They don't have... Well, I guess they have 4 nades. They have explosives now to deal with this. They got flashbangs as well, so gonna be a similar story with the exact same position from Secretly that Alemo used previously.
Opening it all up. It's always nice to see him reunited with that Buck roll. Absolutely.
Yes.
Old reliable, if you want to call it that. Secretly punished on the stairs. He peeks through the shield and he peeks the wrong way. Na'Vi cannot tilt off the face of the earth, or else they will very quickly lose this matchup. With the state of their group and how competitive it is, both of these teams find themselves at the bottom. They are fighting for every point they can get. You cannot give up as quickly as we saw from Na'Vi yesterday against Oxygen. They need to stay in it mentally. That's a big blunder from Secret. It cost him his life.
I mean, you gotta see it through, and I think Na'Vi knows this as well, but of course, mistakes that will happen at some point, but right now is not the right time for that. He does a lot of damage, but not enough. Just a little under half health for Doki, as he still has about 60 health left.
Just a cacophony of sounds from both impact grenades, nitro cells, and tossed out grenades in general. All getting opened up now from those Selma charges of Lagona. Still 1 left to break the rest of it, but it's a good bit of defense from Na'Vi. Skeleton, key ammo, and spades for Ali Mao down below. Even if he is on lower HP, he's still got command of that first floor. Na'Vi, you're not going to expend a single body after Secretly died to try and reclaim that first floor. That allows Team 1 to just continue to eat up map control and then control the stairs as well. Once they have access to that, you can translate towards the bomb site. But just as Team 1 had struggles on Kafe with timing, they are encountering the same obstacle right now. 20 seconds left and a nitro cell tossed out from Nath will collect Levi. Still in the same position as the Vector will put in as much work as it can. Team 1 marching down Classical Hall, playing a symphony with Lagonis constructing and instructing, and the rest of Team 1 jumping in and playing their parts beautifully. Team 1 continue to grow their lead, and Na'Vi's pulse weaker and weaker in this matchup. 5-2 for Team 1.
That seems so much easier than what I was expecting. I was like, Na'Vi, you're in decent positions. One player inside of 90, that's a Knave, got the C4 kill onto the Levi on that 90 repel on Sophia. That's great. Then you have one guy inside the inner bar, and I was like, oh, this is going to be really difficult for Team 1 to push through, but no, they found every single kill 4 in a row to just end the round almost flawlessly. It was way too easy for them. And Na'Vi, I'm not sure if they're playing a little bit scared or they just had like bad unfortunate timings, but something isn't working their way right now. They gotta break it and then bring it back. They will go to Trophy Room next. They have a bad experience with AVG. They do not want to relive that momentum, or that moment rather, and they also don't want to try and rectify it just yet. So a change of pace for them. At this pace, even if they lose this round, they can then go kitchen. They can get the entire trio of bomb sites and really feel out what works best for them, but eventually something's gotta stick. Hopefully, at least.
Hopefully. So, I watch what happens with Na'Vi, and I know that they're a team that have greater potential than this. And it's not that Team 1 is playing poorly, and it's always so tough to give this criticism to a team. Because Team 1 have made some very good reads, very smart reads, and have played off of each other perfectly. But Na'Vi have fumbled the bag a number of times. They are not living up to their potential. Yesterday, they committed a series of puzzling errors against Oxygen. Same thing happened on Kafe. We saw some little stumbles from Na'Vi. Now on Villa, obviously that big one being the team kill. That is devastating and demoralizing for their team. But secretly peeking the wrong way without any information as to the fact that Team 1 is down there. Why are you playing around that deployable shield? What are you shooting at? You weren't even returning fire onto a player from Team 1. So we have questions, and as experts, our job is to not necessarily ask questions, our job is to answer them. But still, sometimes a moment will present itself and you have to scratch your head and go, why?
Yeah, I mean, the irony is that the playstyle that Na'Vi tried to enforce on half of their attacking rounds is that fishing playstyle, where they're holding angles and waiting for Team 1 to act. It didn't work. Then, on the very first defensive round, secretly takes the bait, right? He is unnecessarily moving away from his fortified positions that was covered by magnets and ADSs, and he dies. And that's not good enough, and secretly, first one to fall again. Surely enough, Doki gets it back.
And Doki does trade it back, but Team 1 are in. By the way, this is the bomb site. It is just an absolute knockdown, drag-out fight with Team 1 trailing in numbers before equalizing, with Ali Mao picking up a kill. He's sitting at 4-4, and the Buck is looking to do some more damage. Doki playing around the door frame. He's got spam pings, and he's got 2 kills as well. That is a saving grace of Na'Vi, and they desperately needed that round. They lose. It's match point, series point for Team 1. Instead, Na'Vi read into the rush that comes out from the Brazilian teams. They greet it equally, and then they end up prevailing in the gunfight. Team 1, a spirited effort, but ultimately falls short.
Doki supremacy, picking up 3 kills on that round. When secretly fell, he was there to instantly trade it back, ensuring that the numbers wouldn't fall too far out of their favor. And now, Na'Vi, they're actually hovering AVG. They're saying, you know what, we had a bad experience, we're gonna go back, we're gonna make it better, because right now, Trophy, that's a vibe. Now let's make AVG a vibe as well. There is games room in there, so you would think that on this bomb side, you'd be having fun. But that, of course, depends on your experience, whether you lose or whether you win. Because games are usually only fun for the victor and not so much the loser.
Well, it's a second attempt at a bomb site that, as you pointed out, eluded them on the first instance. And there was just a couple small things that lead to it. We talked just in the last round about secretly giving his life away on that deployable shield, surrendering control of the stairs. We were equally critical of Ali Mao falling off of that position, and despite the fact there was 2 magnets, 2 ADSs, and a deployable shield when he was defending it, he forfeited control of the stairs. Tries to come back, it's a little bit too late. Na'Vi have it. They get the kill onto Ali Mao. Secretly is trying to hold those stairs, sitting with the deployable shield in front of him. That is a power position. They need to use utility to clear you out. That's why you have ADSs there. That's why you have magnets there. But secretly gives his life away again for free. You cannot be just forfeiting your life on one of the most important avenues up to that second floor, because then you lose control of Classical Hallway and the doorway to study.
They have done the thing that I think they should do. Doki is now the shield player. They have changed the roles around. It is more fitting, right? Doki's a more aggressive player. I would argue more naturally gifted in terms of like fragging potential, where Secret is more of like a flex support player, if anything. I like this. Doki also playing the oNe. He can cover himself with those magnets and ensure that he knows when to throw them to stay safe. It's a great adaptation from Na'Vi, and it allows Blurry now to a Knave to play around the map a little bit more. Nathan's out of 90 again, but Doki, all eyes are on you, my friend. You need to make this position work in your favor because this is where everyone is going to be watching you at once.
First game to
there it is.
Nuclear, and then second game he breaks. He doesn't even come close to breaking even. Now he's dead even. He's going to have to play around the shield even better. He takes out Neskin. That's the top performer for Team 1. Silencing the best gun and the Maverick is a huge win for Na'Vi. You've got the backup in ace of Lagonis, and it sounds like the Selmas were going off as well. Nath taken out of action by Levi. They're looking to claim control of the stairs, and they'll do just that. So the advantage that was given by Doki, well, it's no more, as Doki and Nath both get buried by these Team 1 players. Doki even paying some tribute to his opponents by saying, nice shot. Half the round to go, Team 1 with a numbers advantage. They're looking to move to match point.
Doki has been quite nice in chat today. He's been saying nice shot like 3 or 4 times.
He's reformed, by the way.
He is reformed. That is very true. He did have that unfortunate 6 months, I believe, but now he's back in a good form. And Levi.
No. It almost happened again. What is it with Blur? Is he invisible?
Blur is invisible, yeah.
Is Blur invisible? As he's just standing there, almost watches one of the players go by. Na'Vi had such a big advantage, Nick. It is now gone. It's a 4v2 favoring Team 1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say nice try because the round isn't over yet, but we need to see something happen from Na'Vi in union, if you will. It was Doki that died solo after he got the pick. Then it was Blur to follow, Nave before that. We need to see more refragability or trading coming out from the side of Na'Vi, because if you're losing players with no trading back, eventually you will fall. And that's kind of where Team 1 they thrive. Every single player statistically is more aligned with each other. Whereas with Na'Vi, it's individuality.
Beautiful shot from Secretly, and that's a freebie onto Team 1. It'll narrow that advantage they have in terms of numbers. They're being watched by that cam, the bulletproof camera. Secretly takes out Lagonis. He's making up for lost time, and another from Secretly, but he can't outduel the hand of the... Oh no! The guns from Team 1 surprise us and surprise Na'Vi. It's match point for Team 1.
I mean, that shot from Hello right there, that's what it feels like to play online series with high ping, but this is 0 ping LAN environment. He is lightning fast. That is what to expect from a superstar player, right? If you take a Lemo against somebody like Secretly, who is... We always meme in Europe and say he's like a boomer, he's like an older, more veteran, experienced player. It's really hard to be an older guy today in Rainbow Six Siege because there is so much young talent. There are, of course, Latin players, APAC players, etc. And when you're 24 years old plus, you've been playing for 7 years, you gotta start questioning, when is it my turn to go on hard support? That's often where your career goes. You start on Ashe, we all do, and then eventually you go to Flex, eventually you go to hard support or Flex, and then Flex support, then hard support after that, or a main droner.
And then you go to coaching.
And then you go to coaching, yeah, and then you retire usually.
Yeah, usually you go to coaching and then you retire. That's the typical way it goes, doesn't it?
Speaking of coaches.
Speaking of, the coaches will be able to speak to their teams as Na'Vi have now called a timeout. They will talk things through as they sit on the very final round for them if Team 1 wins. There's still 3 opportunities for Na'Vi to send this to overtime. They need to win all 3 of them. A single miss, and that's it. On this second half, Na'Vi have just won a single round. That's it. Team 1 have doubled up on them in terms of wins. And Villa has not been as defender-sided as the other 2 maps. No 5-1 split. Team 1 benefited greatly from the issue that we saw from Na'Vi earlier on, and now they're running through it on this second half.
That they are, and the funny thing is, we spoke earlier about how the opening kill has more often than not led to the round win as well in the previous maps of Kafe and Oregon. But for this map of Villa, it's a little bit different. Na'Vi actually has more opening kill than Team 1, but they also have significantly less rounds. So the conversion rate from Na'Vi, not the greatest, but the numbers themselves don't tell the full picture because context, right? Very often in this map in particular, we've seen the opening kill go to one side, but then immediately it's been traded back. So sure, opening kill, let's say it goes to Na'Vi, well then Team 1 trades it back 4-4, it doesn't really matter at that point. So the statistics, they matter, but only with context. And now we see Neskin pay 6 pick in the Nuke, so it was Na'Vi's timeout.
Oh no.
But Team 1 brings the spice on match and map point.
Man is the top player in the game right now, and Neskin, when he heats up, can absolutely dominate a game. We saw him do it a couple times in Mexico. He had a very strong performance in the finals as well, and it's funny because, I mean, most people when they hear Nesk, they think of Team Liquid, who actually you and I are casting later today, so we're going to be talking about Nesk a lot. This instance, it's Neskin. On Liquid, it's Nesk. Neskin sitting at 11-6. He's going to go on a pure fragging operator. If you feel like there's a blind spot in Navi's defense and you can exploit that, then Nuke is the operator to do it.
Yeah, remember, there's no Valkyrie, no Echo, but there is a Pulse. So the one operator that Neskin has to avoid is Nath, because that heartbeat sensor, it does see Nuke. She might be a ghost, but she does have a heart. Of course, if there's Baba on the ground or a Banshee from the Melusi, that's her gadget, the Banshee, that will also slow you down. But Neskin, either way, gadget or no gadget, will have the FMG 1.5x scope in hand, and that can do some crazy damage.
Looked like he was going to break in the kitchen there on the Nook hole. And I don't know if Nath would have seen him or not. He's a little confused as to what and where he wants to go. Through the barricade, that'll be Nath shooting it out, still looking for the heartbeat, and he'll get it. That's actually the Nook of Neskin that he's got, by the way. Tosses out a nade, assuming that somebody's in Memorial. He's correct that someone's in there. It saves, but saves is not close enough to really be dealt any damage at all. Neskin, meanwhile, has actually taken some damage. I don't know if that was the Pulse blind firing with the UMP through the reinforcement or through the barricade or not.
That or his own nade, I assume, because that's the only action that happened, but Neskin's kind of everywhere right now. He started on the side window and side door, and now he's going up to master balcony. This is probably more in line with like helping his team progress through the map. But either way, this Pulse and the C4s from below, they can do some nasty damage. Team 1 played 3 C4s. Navi only has 2, 1 on saves on the mute, and of course 1 on Nath on the Pulse.
Neskin is just waiting ever so patiently. He's got Levi not too far away. This is not exactly the thrill ride of what could be a final round between these two teams. An upstairs hold by Na'Vi, as this is a kitchen defense down below. So they're going to want to hold as much of the top floor to keep the attackers at bay.
Almost had a red flank there, flanking this side of Team 1, but now we go in, LMG in hand. Do they know there's 2 players here? I'm not sure, but they see the shield, the red ping comes out, but that's it. They cannot get into this door because the Toxic Babes are coming out from Navi.
And that really smart use of Levi's gadget, pulling out the launcher, and oh no, there goes Neskin. So Doki with the very first lead-off kill with a minute to go. The Nook is not going to be able to do all that much. We saw her walk in and then immediately get shut down. They know that Secretly is positioned inside of Astronomy. Blur is there for backup. Secretly has not been moved off of this spot. A magnet will situate itself not too far away. There's a drone in front of him. He gets swung by the Yana. Ali Mao, the first kill onto Blur. Secretly is in serious trouble. Nobody can really come to help him, but a nice shot from him. He's not going to do more than that. Just 1 kill is all he gets. KDS takes down Secretly, but Na'Vi holds the lead. Doki roaming so aggressively, picks up 2 kills, and he's gone like a whisper in the night. KDS and Levi, the last 2 left. Very low on HP for Team 1. And with 20 seconds to go, they're going to walk into a hail of gunfire in the bomb site. A drop from KDS will give his position away sound-wise, but they're going to need to fetch that diffuser or just simply go for kills. Based on the fact there's only 10 seconds left, kills are your forte. And hey, for Team 1, they are indeed the forte. No intel. Levi breaking in. Na'Vi right now waiting ever so patiently, but nobody has the diffuser, and they know it. The last kill comes out for Doki. Clock hits 0, and even though Team 1 still has a player left, the timer is what matters. Na'Vi managed to hold off Team 1 on that round by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, Team 1 left the diffuser. I think arguably purposeful inside the master bedroom. They didn't want to go and get it before dropping. They just went for the instant hot drop to get into side, seeing if they could play for kills. But the one thing regarding kills that Doki, he got a ton of them. He was everywhere that round. He started on side, went to the basement, came up red stairs, got a kill, went back to basement, up into side, then came back into basement, up into red stairs again, and got another kill onto Carl on a limo. Basically, in other words, Doki supremacy once again, really getting a big effect and a big impact on this round. He now has 10 kills to his name and 7 deaths. Neskin, same fashion, going to 6 pick from the Maverick onto the Nook. It didn't really see a ton of success, but to be honest, that can also, in part, be blamed on the bomb side. Kitchen dining defense is not a bomb site with a lot of gaps, especially when you have a Pulse scanning 360 around the perimeter of the bomb site, and that really stopped him from achieving what he wanted to do. So hopefully, this time around from Neskin, on this trophy defense, he can find a gap to utilize and abuse, but as long as Doki's roaming around, it's not going to be easy. And again, the Banshees, Melusi's gadget, is also going to be a stopper for the sneaking around from Neskin. Sage bring up the kite as well, so they have wall deny. Na'Vi actually in a pretty good position here to do a dynamic setup. They have multiple ways to play around it, and the only way to pick it apart is the ace on the Gonish, because the Maverick was 6 picked away, and to enable a Gonish, you need to utilize the nades from the Nook or from KDS, otherwise those kite claws will stay alive.
I am intrigued to see what we can get out of the Nook again. Second time's a charm, maybe, for Neskin. We'll watch and see, but again, Team 1 are coming so close on a lot of these rounds. Even though Na'Vi is 4 rounds on the board, they are not very confident rounds. A number of them have been down to a single player or two, so Team 1 winning more definitive, more statement-worthy rounds.
There it is.
But here's the creeping
Sneaking around, seeing what I can find, but there's no one. It's just me and my gun. Woo-hoo.
Alimao takes down Blur. This could be the first domino for Na'Vi.
Yeah.
The Nook still has barely made it into the building, and Alimao is playing off intuition at this point, and the drone, of course, falling in front of him. Doki misses that. Oh, no! Doki, Jack, you gotta be better than that. What are you doing?
You can hit the heads, but not the drones.
Evidently. Doki now breaking double digits, joining Neskin and actually competing with Neskin for most kills. Doki will likely surpass him if Na'Vi makes it to overtime. But will we get that far? That's the real question. Neskin up the stairs now.
It's the Banshee.
Still will detect him. You might not be visible to cameras, you might be dead silent, but a Banshee will slow you down, as will barbed wire, as you pointed out.
Yeah, now we're just lingering around. All players from Na'Vi are inside of the bomb site, secret inside a bathroom, and 3 guys in statue. They're going to be playing tight together. And Team 1, what they will need to do is get onto that master balcony. They'll have to start working the wall and try and get a breach open. And that is going to be the opening that they need.
Looks like Na'Vi here is rotating, maybe a little bit safer and farther back towards Astronomy, seeding the portion of the map on Villa closest to Study.
Nice. Oh,
Saves to get a kill on Lagonis, and Saves will be right back in at some point. Is he outside still?
Yeah, he
That's
jumped
the
out
real
extra
question.
window.
A grenade gets tossed in, and all hell is broken loose in the middle of the bomb site. Neskin down below trying to do some damage. Alimao, no way you're going to rappel through the middle of the bomb site, you absolute madman. Nath knows it. There's just one of those yellow pings. Neskin assesses that there's going to be a late flank onto the Kaid, and they're messy about it. It's Nath now dying. Saves is the last one. He won't be able to do it. It's Team 1 winning it in the round that they needed the most before Na'Vi can build up that momentum. The European squad still winless, but a big win for LATAM, the Mexico major champs. They desperately need that for their competitive group. And they get it on Villa by a score of 7-4.
On that final round, it really sucks because Saves did a hero play. He killed the player on Astropel, but when you jump out that window, it's hard to get back in. And once Team 1 realized exactly what happened, they were like, well, if there's 4 players alive and 1 guy just jumped outside, that leaves the bomb site extremely vulnerable, and it took great advantage, very explosive, very quickly. And there was a Lemo on that Skylar Rappel, finding the last 2 players inside of Na'Vi to really put them in their coffin and finish the job.
And who would have thought that rappelling the skylight of Trophy Statuary is where you're going to get those kills? What an absurd thing to think about. That is oftentimes to your undoing because it's so easy to peek you. But if there's anybody that has the brazenness to do it, it's Alimao, a creative player as always, while the rest of his team push to the site, pinch them, and again, you have that wild card of the Nook to do some serious damage. What a whirlwind of a matchup. Oregon honestly feels like a day ago that we saw it happen. Blur in particular had some real highlight moments, as did a number of players in the matchup. Our beautiful analysts will take us through that. But before we get there, let's toss to a break. There's still 3 more matchups to go as well, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.